Rebuilding the Immortal Cultivation family. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 651 Contact. After spending more than half a month, Li Zhirui and his party safely passed through the territory of the Jade Demon sect and officially entered the central region. There seemed to be an invisible wall between the central region and the Jade Demon sect. Although they were only separated by a wall, the spiritual energy between the two places was very different. The spiritual energy in any place in the central region is comparable to that of a third-level spiritual vein. No wonder this place is the most prosperous, Li Changshuo muttered in a low voice. You know, there are now 2 fourth-level spiritual veins on Banyan Island, and many low-level spiritual veins, but even so, not every corner has spiritual energy that can compare to a third-level spiritual vein. This is the case on Banyan Island, let alone other territories in the East region. Unique advantages, you can't envy them. Li Zhirui had already calmed down about this. However, an idea emerged in Li Changshuo's mind, saying, Dad, after the secret realm ends, I want to stay in the central region for a while. She can not only look for opportunities to break through the late giant stage, but also try to find a 4th-level Taiyan spiritual object to promote the blood of the 2 spirit beasts. We'll talk about it later. Now we should concentrate on the trial. Li Zhirui neither agreed nor objected. It's not impossible to take the trial in the central region. After all, this place is rich in resources, but it also depends on her physical condition after coming out of the secret realm. If she is seriously injured, how can people let her stay to practice? It should be more than 2 years before the secret realm opens. You will follow me to the nearby fairy city first, and you can arrange your own time in the future. It took more than a year from Banyan Island to their entry into the central region. Li Zhirui couldn't help but remind them, it's best not to conflict with others. If you get injured, you will easily put yourself in a dangerous situation when you enter the secret realm. Seeing that the 3 of them took his words to heart, they continued to drive the spirit ship forward. Compared with before, the speed is much slower now, and occasionally they will stop to rest in some fairy cities and markets. This is mainly to collect some information about spiritual objects and bring them back to the family when they leave the central region. It's a rare trip to the central region. How can you return empty-handed? Li Zhirui brought a large amount of spiritual stones from the family, preparing to buy some spiritual seeds and expand the family's spiritual medicine. As for why spiritual medicine, and not other spiritual objects? Of course, it is because spiritual medicine can reproduce and regenerate. Other spiritual objects can only be used once, so there is little point in buying them back. Even if there is a real need, you can buy them through the 2 major chambers of commerce, but the price is a little more expensive. Moreover, these few strolls have also opened up Li Chengsheng and the other 2 people's horizons. They have never thought that Yuanying cultivators can be seen so sparsely and commonly, and they are not as rare as in the East region. You are rare geniuses in the family, but you are no more than that in the world. You can't be arrogant because of a small achievement. Li Zhirui took the opportunity to warn him, and then said, but don't belittle yourself. You are like the rising sun. One day you will be able to rise to the zenith and shine brightly. 300 years ago, when he participated in the Stone Tower trial, there were at least 1,000 people who were 100 years old. Since then, the pride in his heart has dissipated, and he has always maintained a humble attitude. Dao Yao said it very well. A Yuanying cultivator passing by smiled and said, I am King Zhu of Yaoying sect. I am honored to meet you. Li Zhirui turned around and saw that this person was dressed in green, with a tall figure and clear eyes, like the strong bamboo standing proudly between the cliffs. His cultivation was higher than his, and he was in the late Yuanying period. The Yaoying sect Li mentioned was the overlord of this fairy city and 1,000 miles around, a powerful force with more than a dozen gods. Speaking of which, in the prosperous land of cultivation in the central region, the Yaoying sect can barely be considered a first-class force. I am Wang Xiaoming from the Wang clan of Guangling in the eastern region. Nice to meet you. Li Zhirui still used a pseudonym. Similarly, Li Chengsheng and the other 2 also took pseudonyms to avoid getting into trouble and bringing trouble to the family. This practice is actually very common. Only those forces that have reached a certain level of strength and are not afraid of any trouble will not care about this at all. For a big force like the Wanjian sect, after the disciples report their names, it can still have a certain deterrent effect. In fact, the members of the Li family also openly reported their true identities when they were training around Banyan Island, but now they are in the central region, so it is better to be careful. Fellow Taoist, are you taking the younger generation of your family to the Banyan secret realm to participate in the trial? King Zhu's eyes moved slightly and asked with a smile. Yes, the secret realm will be open soon, and we have to go there first and rent a cave. There was a trace of vigilance in Li Zhirui's eyes, and he didn't understand what his purpose was for suddenly chatting. If you are not in a hurry, why don't you stay in Yaoan sect for a few days and go together? Thank you for your kindness, but I won't bother you. Li Zhirui smiled and refused. If you are too nice to others, you are either a traitor or a thief. In this world, except for your parents, there will be no one who treats you well for no reason. If there is such a person, you must be vigilant, because the other party may want more. Since you are busy, I can only give up. I will take you to see the 9 scenes of Yaoan in the future. King Zhu also realized that he was a little anxious, and smiled and said goodbye. Li Zhirui glanced at his back, and then took Li Chengsheng and the other 2 out of the fairy city, without even collecting any information about the spiritual objects here. Dad, what is the purpose of that person approaching us? Li Chengshu asked curiously. I don't know, but he must have something to ask for. Li Zhirui couldn't figure it out, so he simply put his worries behind him and continued to move forward. I didn't expect that I would meet a cultivator with great luck when I thought about it, King Zhu said with emotion after returning to the sect. Few people know that his eyes are born extraordinary and can see the luck of the creatures in the world. In his eyes, Li Zhirui's luck is the most prosperous among all the creatures he has seen in his life. So he couldn't help but want to make friends with him. Maybe he could borrow some luck. As for why he didn't use the secret method to intercept? First, this method is rare, difficult, and relatively insidious. Second, the other party's luck is stable, and there should be a treasure to suppress the luck, which cannot be intercepted just by wanting to intercept. It's a pity that I was a little anxious, so that the other party became alert. King Zhu was a little annoyed by his actions. It's not an easy thing to reverse the first impression left. I can only take it one step at a time. Wanjian sect Li Zhixuan, dressed in a dark red long dress, murmured to herself, I don't know if I can see Brother Nine and the others in front of the Wanxian secret realm. She took the initiative to accept the sect's mission and took the Jindan disciples who went to participate in the trial to the Wanxian secret realm. The purpose is to meet Li Zhirui and others. Chapter 652 Heartbeat. Of course, Li Zhixuan also knew that her identity would bring trouble to them, so she did not intend to recognize them, as long as she saw them from a distance. Calm down. After the 10,000 Immortal Secret Realm ends, you don't have to rush back. Go 300 miles northeast, where a 4th-level Secret Realm is about to open, the Wuxin Patriarch said lightly. Deep in the Secret Realm, there is a cold pool, which will breed the heavenly cold stone, which can effectively suppress the murderous aura and will be of some benefit to your future practice. Disciple knows. Li Zhixuan kept this in mind. For sword cultivators who practice the killing sword, murderous aura has advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that it can enhance strength and improve cultivation, while the disadvantage is that it is easy to have problems. If the murderous aura riots, it is very likely to go astray. In order to prevent such accidents from happening, of course, treasures such as the heavenly cold stone must be prepared. You can also learn from the Wuxin Patriarch to cut off all emotions, become a heartless and ruthless person, and remain absolutely calm. In this way, the murderous aura will be suppressed. However, Li Zhixuan has feelings in her heart and does not want to give up her emotions, so she can only think of other ways. Go. Ancestor Wuxin waved his hand. Why would such a heartless person like Ancestor Wuxin accept Li Zhixuan? Is it really because he can't bear to see his skills lost? Of course not. It's just a title. In fact, he wants Li Zhixuan to inherit his skills and protect the Wanjian sect for him, so as to repay the karma owed to the Wanjian sect. To settle the karma, this is what everyone who is about to ascend will do. Some will directly destroy the karma, while others will find a way to repay the karma. And like Ancestor Wuxin, he can't destroy the Wanjian sect, right? Not to mention whether he has the strength. Just the karma he carries for slaughtering tens of thousands of people for no reason can make him lose the possibility of ascending. Maybe Li Zhixuan didn't know it at first, but as time went by, she learned a lot of relevant news. Although she still respected Ancestor Wuxin, she didn't have the respect and admiration she had at the beginning. After all, the essence of this matter is a transaction. Li Zhirui got a teacher of transformation and a direct inheritance to ascend to heaven, and lost his freedom for a long time. Wuxin Liaozu paid off the karma and spent some time on guidance and teaching. Wang Jianzong got a high-level thug and lost some spiritual resources. Who made a profit and who lost is still unclear for the time being. Li Zhirui and his party are still collecting information about spiritual medicines, but even so, they didn't delay too long on the road and arrived at the Stone Pagoda Immortal City, not far from the 10,000 Immortals' secret realm. The Immortal City is not so lively and prosperous at ordinary times. Because the secret realm is about to open, cultivators from all over the world gather here, causing the prices of inns and caves to soar. Li Zhirui and his party came relatively early. Although the price of the cave is expensive, at least there is a place to live, and they don't have to live on the spirit ship, which is really inconvenient. Have a good rest. In a few days, I will tell you about the situation in the secret realm. Although the content of the Stone Tower trial is different, he can tell them some secrets he discovered during his last experience, which may be helpful. There is no need to tell them that the trial is a real scene, so as not to be soft-hearted when encountering some trials. But it is necessary to tell them that there will be outsiders in the process. If you can get their favor, you may get some gifts like he did in the beginning. You know, the 4th level talismans given by the outsiders in the trial solved a lot of troubles for Li Zhirui. A few days later, the 4 people were fully recovered. Li Zhirui called them to his room, told the 3 of them the news about the outsiders, and told them to behave well. Maybe there would be unexpected surprises. Dad, are you telling the truth? Li Chengshu asked in shock. Of course, she knew that there were more advanced worlds outside the world, but she didn't expect to see outsiders so early, and in the Stone Tower trial. The reactions of the other 2 were also very big, and they didn't quite believe what Li Zhirui said. Remember the 4th level talismans I gave you? That was the gift I got in the Stone Tower. Now thinking back, those 4th level talismans did have a strange origin. At that time, Li Zhirui, who has only a golden elixir, could not buy so many 4th level talismans even if he wanted to save his life. Li Chengshuo's eyes lit up. It would be great if she could also be valued by the outsider. Just thinking about it, a smile appeared on her face. As for the trial, because everyone's trial is different, there are no tricks or anything like that. But as long as you stay calm and don't pay attention to the wrong trial tasks, the first few levels should be fine. As time passed, Li Chengsheng and the other 2 were particularly law-abiding. They rarely left the cave to play, and they were all making the final sprint. Soon, it was the day when the secret realm was opened. Li Zhirui led the 3 people and quickly rushed to the open space in front of the secret realm. But unexpectedly, as soon as he arrived, he ran into King Zhu of Yaoan sect. I didn't expect that we would meet again. It's really fate, Li Zhirui replied with a fake smile. Dao brought a lot of excellent disciples this time. Standing behind him, there were 8 Jinden. This number is already a lot. Okay, Dao, don't praise them, otherwise you will be proud again. After thinking for a while, King Zhu calmed down and didn't want to be friends with Li Zhirui in a hurry. After all, it was too obvious and it would easily make people wary and suspect that he had other purposes. So after a few simple chats, he didn't continue to entangle. Li Zhirui didn't think about King Zhu's change of attitude. His eyes wandered quietly, as if he was looking for something. Not long after, he found the position of the Wanjian sect cultivator. It seemed that Li Zhixun was not in the crowd, but he found her very accurately. Because of her murderous aura, she was very easy to identify. Li Zhirui led the 3 people to approach the Wanjian sect, but still kept a certain distance, and said in a voice transmission, Zhixun, how have you been in the Wanjian sect during this period? 9 brothers, I'm doing well, don't worry about me, but how are you and your family? It is not uncommon for cultivators to transmit voices in the full field. After all, there are always some things that are not suitable to be said out loud. And without the God transformation ancestor, with Li Zhirui's spiritual strength, others can't eavesdrop on the content at all. The 2 of them exchanged a brief greeting, and after understanding each other's situation, Li Zhirui was ready to end the exchange. 9 brothers, after the end of the Wangxin secret realm, a 4th level secret realm will be opened in the northeast of 300 miles. If you have time, why not explore it? I know. Li Zhirui heard this and admitted that he was tempted. If nothing unexpected happens, he should go and take a look. Chapter 653 Enter. A 4th order secret realm. it is very likely that a fifth-order spiritual object will be bred there. If Li Zhirui is lucky enough to get one or two, then after he breaks through, the promotion of his natal magic weapon will not be a problem. Because even if the attributes are not compatible, they can be exchanged with other gods. You know, fifth-order spiritual objects cannot be bought with spiritual stones. Large chambers of commerce like Xuanfa Pavilion will only bring out fifth-order spiritual objects as the finale at super-large auctions. It is impossible to see them at ordinary times. So if there is a chance, Li Zhirui will definitely go. Dad, are you communicating with Zhuanggu? Li Chengsheng asked in a low voice. Yes, but she is not convenient to recognize you now. Li Zhirui didn't want to talk more, and said, you adjust your state, the secret realm will be open soon. Why don't you see the cultivators of Wangxiang sect? Li Chengshuo wanted to take this opportunity to meet Wei Ningjun, but unfortunately there were too many cultivators present, so she couldn't find anyone at all. When Li Zhirui was looking for Li Zhixun just now, he also looked for the location of Wangxiang sect by the way, but he didn't see it either. In fact, the crowd did not have to wait long before the mysterious realm of 10,000 immortals slowly opened. According to the old rules, the Yuanying True Lords did not intervene, and the order in which the giant and cultivators entered the secret realm was determined by their own abilities. Compared to Li Zhirui back then, Li Shengsheng and the other two were much inferior in speed. After all, they did not have a spirit beast with wind attributes. However, among the crowd, they could barely be considered upper middle class, and among them, Li Zhangxin was the fastest, easily passing many cultivators like a breeze. After watching the three of them all enter the secret realm, Li Zhirui turned back to the cabin. He wanted to prepare for the next journey to the secret realm. Zhaoqing, I'll trouble you to wait in the outside world. I'll go into the space to refine some precious pills. Li Zhirui released Zhaoqing from the space. Why do you suddenly want to refine the precious pill? Li Zhirui told him the news that Li Zhixun had told him. Zhaoqing nodded in agreement and said, indeed, this is also a rare opportunity for you, ninth brother. Maybe you can break through the late stage of the nascent soul earlier. After letting go of his thoughts, he couldn't help but say, maybe we can find a spiritual object to make brother Deking's bloodline go further. At the beginning, Zhaoqing's luck was so great that her bloodline entered the 5th level in one fell swoop, but Deking was still hovering at the 4th level. How can it be so easy? Li Zhirui shook his head. The 4th level secret realm has a strong attraction for nascent soul cultivators. This time it is open after the 10,000 immortal secret realm. Nascent soul cultivators from all over the world gather together, which will inevitably be more dangerous and the competition will be more intense. Li Zhirui never dared to underestimate the heroes of the world. Even if he had Zhaoqing, a 4th level spirit beast, to help him, he didn't have full confidence that he could take down a 5th level spiritual object. Unless Li Zhixun was added. Unfortunately, the troubles she had were not something the Li family could bear now. So even if they met in the secret realm, they would not be together. Li Zhirui shook his head, dispelled these distracting thoughts, took out a positioning magic weapon, and told Zhaoqing, pay attention to the changes in the magic weapon. Once there is a flash of spiritual light, it means someone has come out of the secret realm. The stone tower will teleport the monks who failed the trial as soon as possible, and it will be teleported to the area within 100 miles with the secret realm as the core. Although this range is large enough, there are still many monks who are ambushing and trying to kill people and steal treasures, so Zhaoqing must rush there as soon as possible to avoid unfortunate things from happening. This kind of thing has happened in previous years. The positioning magic weapon that Li Zhirui took out was also owned by Li Chengxian and the other two. The first thing they did after entering the secret realm was to reunite with each other and then head towards the trial stone tower together. With the combined strength of the three of them, plus the spirit beasts of Li Chengsheng and Li Changshu, they can definitely enter the stone tower safely. However, the area of the secret realm is very large, and the sensing range of the positioning magic weapon is limited. If their initial positions are extremely scattered, it will be difficult to gather them. Fortunately, Li Chengsheng and the other two were lucky. They were not far from each other, and it only took 1 or 2 hours to gather together. How was it? Did you encounter any danger? Li Chengxian, who arrived last, asked. Li Zhangxin shook his head. He did meet some cultivators, but he was eager to travel and left them behind. Look at you, brother, did you fight with someone on the road? The mana consumed a lot, and it was impossible to hide it from others. I met a cultivator in the late Jinden stage, and finally found that he couldn't do anything to me, so he ran away, Li Chengsheng said lightly. Okay, since we are all here, let's recover and head towards the stone tower. The two siblings released the spirit beasts to warn, so that the three of them could recover at ease. After a few hours, the three people who were full of energy continued to travel. 1 late Jinden, 2 mid-Jinden, plus 4 third-level spirit beasts. Such a combination can't be said to be invincible, but at least no one wants to provoke them. So the three of them arrived in front of the stone tower very smoothly, and the bloody storm had nothing to do with them. Be careful, don't be careless, Li Chengsheng repeatedly warned before entering. Although you won't really die even if you fail the trial, of course the farther you go, the better. After all, the more levels you pass, the richer the rewards you can get. Don't forget the spiritual objects the family needs. For this reason, the Li family specially listed a list, from level 1 to level 6, all of which are spiritual objects that are rarely seen in the outside world, or even extinct. For example, in the first level, there is a spiritual object called Jiling grass. As the name suggests, it has a slight effect of gathering spiritual energy. The more you planned, the better the effect of gathering spiritual energy. But for some reason, it suddenly became extinct one day. Of course, the stone tower trial has existed for so many years, and many forces must have obtained spiritual seeds, but they don't exist in the outside world. And the family has worked hard and spent a lot of resources to cultivate you. When you are capable, you will repay the family. Isn't it a matter of course? Moreover, the Li family didn't ask for much in this matter, as long as they were not the worst two spiritual objects. For example, if Li Chengsheng passed the 5th level trial, he could give the Li family the 1st and 3rd level spiritual objects, and the remaining 2nd, 4th and 5th levels would belong to him. You know, many forces would only give 1 or 2 spiritual objects to the trialists, and they were of lower grade. If he got fewer spiritual objects, he would just give some points as a reward. In this regard, the Li family was very conscientious. Brother, don't worry, I will definitely pass the 6th level, Li Chengshuo said confidently. Don't worry, ancestor, I won't bring shame to the family, Li Xiangxin was also quite confident. Then let's go. After that, Li Chengsheng took the lead and walked into the stone tower first. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 654 Trial. The moment they entered, the scene around them changed. First level trial, during the next 3 days of the night parade of 100 ghosts, protect the people of the entire village. The death toll must not exceed 3, otherwise it will be considered a failure. Before Li Chengsheng got familiar with the surrounding environment, a mysterious and grand voice sounded in his mind, describing his trial task. The task was not difficult, after all, it was only the first level, and according to Li Zhirui, most of the enemies he had to face were first level, and only a few were second level. Ghosts of this strength were not a threat to Jinden Cultivator. Just be careful not to let the villagers get killed during the night parade of 100 ghosts. Are you the immortal master from Chang Town? A hunched white-haired old man slowly walked over and asked in awe. Li Chengsheng didn't know where Chang Town was, and he didn't intend to admit it. He shook his head and said, I'm just a wandering Taoist priest. I happened to pass by this place and saw a ghost atmosphere. I'm afraid there will be a disaster of hundreds of ghosts tonight, so I came to help. Thank you, master. Thank you, master. After hearing this, the old man was overjoyed and bowed repeatedly to express his gratitude. Why did the old man trust Li Chengsheng so much? Did he doubt his identity at all? Because he had never seen a demon cultivator. In his long life, he had never seen a cultivator who did evil. Old man, there is no need to be so polite. You go back and tell the villagers that after the sun sets, close the doors and windows and don't go out, Li Chengsheng reminded him. If his trial was destroyed, it would be a disaster. Master is right. I will tell others right away. After the old man left, Li Chengsheng grabbed a white cloud from the sky and sat on it, waiting for the night to fall. This immortal master seems to be much more powerful than in previous years. Yes, there will definitely be fewer deaths in the village this year. The voice was full of hope. Alice. I don't know when we can completely get rid of those evil ghosts and let us live a peaceful life. I heard from the old man that there were not so many ghosts more than 100 years ago, but there are more and more in recent years, and they are getting more and more fierce. This damn thief got angry, unwilling, but powerless. The whispers of the villagers all entered Li Chengshu's ears, which made him a little curious about this illusionary village. At the same time, he was amazed at this stone tower, which could actually construct such a real illusion. And it was built in hundreds or thousands at the same time. I'm afraid that only immortal tools can do this. The sun moved westward little by little, and the light gradually dimmed. At the moment when the last ray of light dissipated, the village that was still noisy originally became dead silent in an instant. Not only the 100 or 200 villagers, but also the livestock there raised did not dare to make the slightest sound. It was as if this was an empty village, a village without any life. Li Chengsheng frowned when he saw this scene, and called out Chao Yongwu, saying, Ang, you turn into a sun and float above the village. At this time, Chao Yongwu was no longer a third-grade spirit beast. A few years ago, after refining a fourth-grade solar spirit object, it successfully evolved into a fourth-grade spirit beast. The blood of the three-legged golden crow in the body became more and more rich, and the originally fiery red feathers now also had a hint of golden luster, and the power of the solar spirit fire it swallowed and spit out also became much stronger. With the sun transformed by Chao Yongwu, those low-level ghosts could not get close at all, let alone enter the village. In this way, the possibility of accidents in the trial mission was much smaller. Roar. Accompanied by a gust of gloomy wind, hundreds of strange ghosts appeared, roaring, their eyes glowing green, and pounced on Li Chengsheng. The people in the village couldn't control their bodies. If their mouths were not covered tightly with their hands, I'm afraid someone would have started screaming. He summoned a ball of solar spirit fire and threw it at the ghosts. Suddenly, a shrill scream resounded through the sky. The ghosts touched by the spirit fire turned into ashes in an instant. However, there were too many ghosts and they were scattered, so it would take a lot of time to deal with them. But during this period, because of the protection of Chao Yongwu, no ghost entered the village, so there would naturally be no casualties. After all the ghosts were destroyed by Li Chengsheng, he did not rush to take back Chao Yongwu, but waited until midnight before letting the tired Chao Yongwu return to the spirit beast bag to rest. The villagers had already fallen into a sweet dream under the warm sunshine. The next morning, everyone walked out of the house, without communicating, just a few glances to know that no one died last night. This immortal master is so powerful. Yes, I never thought that I could fall asleep on Ghost Day. The old man knelt on the ground with a group of villagers, wanting to kowtow to express his gratitude. But before they could make any move, Li Chengsheng used his magic power to help them stand up, saying, You don't have to do this. We cultivators should slay demons and protect the people. Master Immortal, please stay for a few more days, the old man begged. I will stay in the village for 2 more days, and I will leave after the matter is done. When the time comes, no matter what the result of the trial is, he will leave. Thank you, Master Immortal. The old man was relieved. According to the practice of previous years, the evil ghosts invading the village will only last for 3 days. The ghosts tonight are a little stronger, but to Li Chengsheng, they are still ants that can be easily killed. It would be great if this Master Immortal could stay in the village. Stupid stone, who is this master? How could he stay in a small village like ours? The man who said this wanted Li Chengsheng to stay in his heart. But he knew in his heart that this was impossible. Alice, Li Chengsheng on the white cloud couldn't help but sigh. In just 2 days, he couldn't tell the real from the fake. Facing this group of villagers who have their own ideas, thoughts, joys and sorrows, he suspected more than once that this was not a so-called illusion trial, but the real world. However, a place like the night parade of 100 ghosts, where ghosts are rampant, has never been heard of appearing anywhere in the Zuinu realm. This made Li Chengsheng wake up again, thinking that these villagers were illusions, and all this was just an illusion. 3 days have passed, no one has died, the trial is past. As soon as the voice fell, Li Chengsheng felt a flash in front of his eyes. When the surroundings became clear, he found that he had come to a small town with 3 big words written on the city gate, Changtown. The second level of the trial is open. The ghost department of Changtown is short of manpower and is not enough to cope with the next 1,000 ghosts. Protect Changtown for 7 days. During this period, no more than 9 mortals may die, otherwise the trial will fail. Chapter 655 Insight. Changtown. Li Chengsheng looked at the small town in front of him, his eyebrows slightly raised. Could his trial be a fantasy world under the same system? If so, he would probably have to spend some time to understand the background story and the reasons for the appearance of those ghosts, especially the so-called Ghost Day. Ghost Suppression Division, Thousand Ghosts Tribulation. The former can be known without much thought. It should be a local organization to suppress ghosts, and the latter reminded Li Chengsheng of the night parade of 100 ghosts in the first level of the trial. If his guess is correct, then the third level of the trial should be to go to the county town to protect the people from the invasion of many ghosts. There is no need to think too much about the future. Li Chengsheng saw that the sky was bright, but this town, like a small town, was extremely quiet, and the city gate was closed until the sun was at its zenith, and then it was slowly opened. And the city wall, which was only a few feet high, actually emitted a glittering brilliance under the sun, which looked very extraordinary. He looked closely and found that those ordinary blue stones were actually second-level spiritual materials. A small town full of mortals can actually produce second-level spiritual materials to build city walls. Li Chengsheng thought it was a bit outrageous, but then he thought that this was a fantasy world and should not be compared with the situation in the Zuinu realm. Creaking, the city gate slowly opened, and a cultivator walked out. His realm was only the early stage of foundation building, followed by several key training Taoist children and an old man. Junior Wang Qilin, hello to the senior. The foundation building cultivator bowed and saluted, his eyebrows and eyes full of respect. I wonder which spiritual mountain the senior is from. I'm just a wandering Taoist. Hearing this, Wang Qilin's face showed obvious disappointment. If it was just a casual cultivator, even if his strength was stronger than his, it would not be much stronger. But it's better than nothing. The more power there is, the fewer people will die in Changtown in the next Thousand Ghosts disaster. So he sincerely invited, Senior, why don't you rest in Changtown for a few days? If you have any needs, we will do our best to meet them. Okay, Li Chengsheng's trial mission was to help Changtown. Now he can enter openly, which is naturally the best, not to mention that there is a reward. Is there a place like a Sutra Pavilion in the town? If not, please collect some books of strange stories and send them to my resting place. Wang Qilin replied, there is a small Sutra Pavilion in the town government office, and there are many vacant rooms there. If you are not satisfied, we will arrange it. Take me to see it. After Li Chengsheng entered the town, he found that almost every household was closed. In addition to their group of people, there were only a few pedestrians on the street, and they walked hurriedly and did not dare to stay outside for too long. As for his residence for the next few days, Li Chengsheng did not have high requirements. It was enough to be able to shelter from the wind and rain. He valued the books in the Sutra Pavilion more. After all, with his cultivation, it would not matter if he did not rest for several days and nights. So he didn't waste time and said, I will stay here. I will also help with the things that happened at night. Thank you, Senior. Then we won't disturb you to rest. Wang Qilin led everyone away with great tact. Before the group walked far, an old man couldn't wait to ask, Director Wang, how strong is this casual cultivator? Can he really help Changtown? Don't worry, Mayor, Wang Qilin said affirmatively. He is much stronger than me. With the help of this senior, the number of deaths in the town during this year's Thousand Ghosts tribulation will definitely be much less. That's good. That's good. I'll go see if there are any treasures in the warehouse and present them to this immortal master. After saying that, the mayor left in a hurry. Alice. This world, Wang Qilin murmured in a voice that only he could hear, the yin energy is so strong that perhaps in less than 1,000 years, this world will turn into a ghost den. The voices from the outside world naturally could not be hidden from Li Chengsheng. He didn't care at first, until Wang Qilin's last sentence caught his attention. A foundation building cultivator actually knows such a big thing? It seems that this world is indeed in danger. If Li Chengsheng thought that this was just an illusion world constructed by the stone tower before entering the town, now he has some doubts in his heart. Because even if the stone tower is an immortal weapon, it is impossible to construct such a real illusion. In order to confirm his guess, Li Chengsheng released Chao Yangwu to find the small mountain village where they had stayed for 3 days. Even if he didn't know the location of the village, Chao Yangwu could easily find it with a breath left in the past. Before Chao Yangwu came back, he focused on flipping through various books, looking for the cause of the ghost disaster, understanding the background of this world, etc. About an hour later, Chao Yangwu returned to Li Chengsheng and spoke in human language, saying, Sheng, the village is still there. When I went there quietly, the villagers were still discussing why we left suddenly. Sure enough, Li Chengsheng rubbed his eyebrows. This is not an illusion world at all, but a real world. And that stone tower should be a teleportation immortal weapon. However, he was also very curious. Since it was the real world, why didn't these cultivators die? Is it because before death, some mechanism would be triggered to teleport away directly? Or is there another reason? These profound questions, let alone Li Chengsheng, even those major forces have not studied them clearly, and the cultivators who have insight into this matter have kept silent tacitly, so that no one knows at all. After understanding this for an hour, he also figured out why ghosts are so prosperous in this world, and what this so-called ghost day is. It is said that 500 or 600 years ago, the immortal way in this world was prosperous. In order to occupy more territory and obtain more resources, the major immortal forces joined hands and launched a massacre against the demon way, the demon clan and other forces. In front of the powerful immortal forces, the other forces were just a landslide, vulnerable to a blow. In just a dozen years, they were beaten to the point of being cut off from inheritance. At this time, the demon way knew that it was powerless to turn the tide, but was unwilling to die like this. So, they united with the remaining forces and used their last strength to seize the underworld of this world. They made a great vow to transform into a ghost and eliminate the impurities produced by the world. As soon as the great vow was made, they were immediately protected by the way of heaven, and the underworld was hidden. At this time, the power of the immortals was also much weaker, and they could not find the underworld at all, and there was no way to completely eradicate it. Thinking that ghosts had too many disadvantages and were not worth paying too much attention to, they went back. At first, the strength of the immortals grew rapidly, and in just a few decades, it returned to the level before the war. Chapter 656, Salvation. But then, the situation took a sharp turn for the worse. Because of the cleansing of the world's impurities, ghosts were favored by the heavenly Dao, and the laws also tilted towards them, so that the yin energy between heaven and earth increased greatly. Correspondingly, the spiritual energy was reduced. As one thing grew, the other fell, and the ghost clan's strength soared, but the immortal way at this time was still tyrannical, and it was not something the ghost clan could resist. But when the older generation of cultivators either ascended and left, or sat in reincarnation, the ghost clan finally got the opportunity to take revenge. In the next 100 years, a large number of immortal forces were destroyed, and the ghost clan gradually occupied a dominant position. In fact, before this, many cultivators in the immortal way realized the threat of ghosts, but with the protection of the heavenly Dao, they could not find the place where the ghosts hid, and there was no way to completely wipe them out. The yin and yang are out of balance. Li Chengsheng couldn't help but sigh after learning about the changes in this world. In the Zuanian world, the immortal path is also the strongest. The forces of the central domain alone can destroy the demon path. If the other three domains are added, it can be said that there is no need to pay too much to destroy the various demon path forces. But why do they stay with them, and even let the demon path occupy a domain alone? Because the development of the world requires balance. If the immortal path cultivators are producers and consumers, then the demon path cultivators are consumers and purifiers. Their existence is to purify the impurities produced by the world. Although this purification is actually digestion, when the demon cultivators practice, in addition to spiritual energy, they will also absorb some impurities, but no matter what, the demon path is an indispensable part of the operation of the world. Unless the immortal path can find a way to replace them, they can only allow their existence. In this world, although the ghost clan is booming, the immortal path forces still have the strength to fight against it. It's just that there are too many mortals, and they are too scattered. Some remote and backward places can't get much protection. This can actually be seen as under the regulation of the heavenly Dao, yin and yang are gradually tending to balance. As for what Wang Qilan said, the yin qi was so strong that it should not last long. After all, the heavenly Dao would not allow the balance of yin and yang to be destroyed. This also made Li Chengsheng wonder if the cultivators in this world did not understand the great principle of the balance of yin and yang. Otherwise, they would not have done such stupid things as destroying the demonic Dao and the demon race, and they would not be pessimistic now that the world would become a den of ghosts. But what does this have to do with me? I'm just here to do a trial mission. Li Chengsheng shook his head. He was just a small giant and cultivator. There was no need to join in such a commotion. If he was not careful, he might get himself into trouble. And it was precisely because the demonic Dao was exterminated that Li Chengsheng's identity would not be questioned. Otherwise, why would Wen Qiulan invite a strange cultivator to enter the town? From this point of view, it was beneficial for him to act. At this point, if Li Chengsheng still couldn't see that his subsequent trial missions were all completed in this world, he would be too stupid. It was night. The town was dead silent. Only a few monks led by Wen Qiulan and some mortal warriors with strong blood and ki stood on the city wall, carefully guarding against something. Whoosh whoosh, suddenly, a gust of wind blew, accompanied by a burst of ghosts crying and wolves howling. Thousands of ghosts appeared out of thin air, with terrifying green light flashing in their terrifying pupils, rushing towards the town one after another. Wang Qiulan's face was solemn, and a long-prepared spell was immediately cast. Buzz! A low roar exploded, and the city wall suddenly shone brightly in the sunlight. Interesting. Let's wait and see if I can ask for a few bluestones tomorrow, Li Chengsheng, who had been observing in secret, thought to himself. This is his trial task after all, and it is related to whether he can get more and better rewards. How can he not pay more attention to it? A large number of low-level ghosts screamed in the sunlight. Unfortunately, this was not real sunlight, and there were too many ghosts, so the ghosts behind were not hurt too much, and the same was true for the second-level ghosts with stronger strength. But facing such a result, Wang Qiulan was relieved and said, compared with previous years, this year's effect is better. The reason for this was Li Chengsheng. He eliminated all the ghosts in that small mountain village, and the strength of the ghosts who came to invade Changtown naturally became much weaker. It is strange to say that the ghost invasion of this world did not act together, but from bottom to top, one level at a time. There must be a reason that Li Chengsheng did not know. The battle on the city wall is still going on, or it has officially begun. Compared with the strength of the ghosts, the human race is obviously much worse. Perhaps it is because of this that Wang Qiulan is very pessimistic. Seeing that the situation is not good, Li Chengsheng did not continue to wait and see, and took decisive action. The fierce sun rose into the sky, and the scorching light shone on every ghost. Those with weaker strength turned into a wisp of green smoke in a few breaths, while those with stronger strength looked even more miserable, because they did not die immediately and had to suffer severe pain. Wang Qiulan was stunned when he saw this scene. He never expected that the invited cultivator was actually a Jindan. With a senior here, everyone can safely survive this year's 1,000 ghosts tribulation. In front of Li Chengsheng, who was strong and restrained ghosts, they quickly survived tonight's disaster. Why not annihilate them all? Because the ghosts were not without intelligence, they saw that the situation was unfavorable, and many of them fled directly without fighting with Li Chengsheng at all. Thank you for your help, senior. Wang Qiulan was so excited that tears welled up in his eyes. He lowered his body and planned to kneel directly to Li Chengsheng to show his gratitude. No need to do that. Li Chengsheng stretched out his hand to stop the other party's action. A great gift should not be accepted lightly. There should be nothing tonight. I will go back first. After saying that, he disappeared. The mayor and others who were waiting at the town government office also found that the ghosts had retreated, and they burst into tears. One of the old men burst into tears and said, "Ancestors, no one in my Changtown was injured or killed tonight." He cried so hard that he almost died. At the same time, the trial space where Li Chengshuo was located was a world with strong yang energy, 10 hours of daytime, and extremely suppressed Taiyin, which rarely appeared. Her task was to summon Taiyin step by step so that it could restore the balance of yin and yang. Li Xiangxin was in a world with little wind, and he was also guided step by step by the trial task to restore the world to normal. Judging from the tests faced by the three people, they all helped the world to restore balance, which was completely different from Li Zhirui at the beginning. From this point of view, it can be clearly seen that the so-called trial is actually someone controlling everything behind the scenes. And these people should be people from the fairy world. Chapter 657 God-Man. Something is not right with this year's trial. A Yuanying cultivator frowned and said, "Brother, did you find anything?" Another Yuanying cultivator asked casually. Several Yuanying cultivators who were idle nearby were also attracted by their conversation. The Yuanying cultivator turned around and said, "Didn't you find that too many cultivators were eliminated in this year's trial, and too quickly?" After he said this, the others reacted instantly, and recalled the situation of the past few days with gloomy faces. They found that it was indeed as he said. that this year's elimination situation was a bit unexpected. If there were disciples who came out of the secret realm, they would quickly call them to ask the reason. If there were no disciples, they could only rely on guesses. But they didn't get any information, because the memories of those giant cultivators were like being covered by a layer of gauze, and they couldn't remember the content of the trial at all. How could this happen? Could it be that the stone tower has a problem? But this is impossible, because this secret realm relies on the stone tower to exist. If there is a problem with the fundamental thing, then the secret realm cannot be safe and sound. The mountain gate and the clan land are in the central region, so they directly arranged people to pass the news back. The forces in the outer regions could only suppress their anxiety and continue to wait for the remaining disciples to come out. The movement of this group of people was not small, which naturally attracted the attention of the Yuanying from all sides. The originally relaxed atmosphere gradually became heavy. After all, the 10,000 Immortal Secret Realm is of great importance. Not only can you get all kinds of rare treasures, but you may also get the favor of the immortals in the upper realm, or even rewards. If something really goes wrong, it is very likely that there will be no more secret realms in the future. To a certain extent, this will slow down the growth of the immortal path. If it is serious, it may make the current level of the immortal path more solid. In the future, it will be very unlikely to grow from the giant forces to the Yuanying and the God of Transformation step by step. Because there is no stone tower trial, want to obtain high-level skills? The possibility is very small. After all, the source of high-level skills, in addition to the stone tower, is to try your luck in various secret realms and ruins. That big power will never leak it, and will even join forces to block it, preventing any high-level exercises from appearing on the market, so as to ensure their own status and not be affected by any impact. Zhaoqing, who has been on the deck, naturally heard the news, but he was not troubled at all, because he was a spiritual beast with blood inheritance, and he didn't need to worry about the exercises. Even if it was blood, he was now a 5th grade blood. When he cultivated to the end of his blood, I believe Li's hair would have broken through the transformation of the spirit and ascended to the upper realm. At that time, it would be much easier to find high-quality spiritual objects. So Zhaoqing just remembered it silently, and when Li's hair came out of retreat, he would tell him. But he felt that these cultivators were completely worrying about nothing and thinking too much. It was an immortal weapon, how could there be any problem? In Cheng Town, Li Chengsheng was studying the blue stone he had asked for from Wen Qiulan, but soon, he put it into his stored ring. Because this was a very ordinary 2nd grade spiritual material, if there was anything special about it, it should be that it could store solar spiritual energy. But relatively speaking, he values the method that can absorb the solar spirit more. You know, the solar spirit is extremely yang and fierce. A cultivator like Li Chengsheng, who has the solar spirit root, must be cautious when absorbing it, for fear of getting burned. But the method on the city wall can do it easily. If he can learn this method, then his future cultivation speed will not only be faster, but also have many wonderful uses. For example, you can try to apply this method in the body of the solar spirit beast, so that it can absorb the solar spirit, so as to promote the bloodline evolution better and faster. Thinking of this, Li Chengsheng couldn't sit still, and immediately found Wen Qiulan to ask about the method of absorbing the solar spirit on the city wall. Senior, don't you know the method of attracting the sun to keep the spirit? Wang Qiulan asked in surprise after hearing his intention. Could it be that this method is known to everyone in this world? Senior should be practicing in the mountains and hasn't been out for many years. Before Li Chengsheng could figure out how to explain, Wang Qiulan had helped him find the reason. If that's the case, it's normal that the senior doesn't know about it. After all, this method has only been handed down for a few decades. Through Wang Qiulan's narration, Li Chengsheng knew why he was so surprised before, because this method of attracting the yang to keep the spirit is a method that all cultivators must learn after they have the first ray of magic power. Moreover, this method is quite legendary, and it was actually created by a foundation-building cultivator. When he was a child, he witnessed his parents being killed by ghosts, and the seeds of hatred were planted in his heart. After being taken back to the mountain gate by the cultivator who saved him, he worked hard to practice, hoping that one day he could see the ghosts killed and avenge his parents. However, his qualifications were average, and the mountain gate he was in was not a big force. After fortunately breaking through the foundation, he realized that his future was limited, so he turned to the way of formation and talismans. Because these two skills are ways to defeat the strong with the weak, which can allow him to kill more ghosts. Unexpectedly, he had an amazing talent in the formation, and he could actually arrange a third-level formation with the foundation building cultivation. Because of this talent, he was valued by a big force and taken back for careful training. But before he broke through the Jinden, he created the amazing and unprecedented non-grade formation of Yin-Yang Kindling. The so-called non-grade means that no matter how high or low the cultivation is, it can be learned and arranged. The power of the formation depends not only on the cultivation and strength of the person who sets up the formation, but also on the materials used to set up the formation. It is also because of this formation that the cultivators can protect more mortals, unlike before, when they could only arrange a large number of cultivators to garrison in major cities. Son of Destiny, after listening to this, Li Chengsheng suddenly thought of a word. Then he asked curiously, how is this God's current cultivation? It is said that he is in seclusion to impact the nascent soul, Wang Qilan said uncertainly. Sure enough. If you don't make a sound, you will be amazing. In just a few decades, from a foundation-building cultivator, he quickly broke through to the perfection of the Jinden, and was even about to break through the nascent soul. What else can this be but a god? Do you have the method of yin-yang preserving spirit? Wang Qilan quickly took out a jade slip from his storage bag and said, Senior, this is the original one given by the sect. As for his insights, it's better not to show them to embarrass himself. Thank you, these are some elixirs for cultivation, please accept them. There was no point in keeping these second-level elixirs, so he simply gave all the remaining dozen bottles to Wang Qilan. Wang Qilan held the jade bottle in a panic and wanted to refuse, but Li Chengsheng had disappeared. He couldn't wait to comprehend the method of yin-yang preserving spirit, which might be of great help to his future cultivation. Chapter 658 Yang-Qi. Tomorrow, when the ghost disaster has subsided, it will be time for me to leave. With the help of Li Chengsheng, Changtown did not suffer any casualties in the Thousand Ghosts disaster this year. And tonight is the last ghost rush to the city. The mortals in the town came to express their gratitude. Even though Li Chengsheng would never show up during the day, it could not stop their enthusiasm. They knelt down and kowtowed to the town government. When Wang Qilan heard this, he suddenly realized that it was the last day. He also knew that a small place like Changtown could not keep Li Chengsheng, so he did not ask him to stay, but expressed his gratitude sincerely. If it weren't for the senior sitting in charge, I don't know how many mortals would have died at the hands of ghosts this year. At the same time, he was thinking about what spiritual objects Changtown could come up with to express their gratitude. Alice. The ghost clan is getting stronger and stronger. If this continues, the living space of our human race will probably shrink again. Don't worry, the luck of the ghost clan can't always be at its peak, Li Chengsheng said casually, and then drove Wang Qilan out, and continued to comprehend the method of attracting the yang to preserve the soul. Although this is a method without rank, it can be comprehended by anyone regardless of the level of cultivation, but because of this, the upper limit and height of each cultivator's comprehension are different. Of course, it takes time to comprehend and integrate one's own cultivation insights. And Li Chengsheng is doing this now. Time is precious and he doesn't want to waste it. At dusk, the yin energy that was dormant during the day slowly awakened and became active. Suddenly, a breeze blew by, which even brought a yin and cold air, which made people shiver. The afterglow of the sun dissipated little by little, and the yin energy became more and more active. After the last ray of sunlight disappeared, the sky instantly became extremely gloomy. The ghosts that were supposed to appear after nightfall actually appeared early this time. Not only were there more ghosts, but their strength was also enhanced. This change surprised Li Chengsheng. Logically, as he killed more ghosts, the remaining strength should be getting worse and worse. How could such an abnormal situation occur? Unfortunately, even if the strength of these ghosts was enhanced, they were only a few more second-level late-stage ghosts. They had not yet developed complete spiritual intelligence, and no information could be obtained from them. However, for the sake of safety, Li Chengsheng summoned the two third-level spirit beasts, Chao Yongwu and Li Zhirui, for the first time, and told them to guard Changtown and not let ghosts in. With the assistance of Wang Qilan on the side, it must be foolproof. And he himself, of course, took action to eliminate these ghosts. Fire Phoenix, Real Dragon, and various mythical beasts spewed spiritual fire, turning the front into a sea of fire. Wherever the solar spiritual fire passed, the ghosts could not resist at all. The weak ones turned into ashes in an instant, and the strong ones only lasted a few more breaths. Although Li Changsheng was invincible among the ghosts and had no rivals, he was still cautious and did not leave the city wall and rush into the ghost group to kill everyone. Roar. Suddenly, a roar came from the ghost group. And a tall ghost roared to the sky, trying to devour other ghosts to enhance its own yin energy and thus eliminate the spiritual fire on its body. Unfortunately, this idea is good, but it cannot be realized. The gap between the two sides is too big. How can such a small trick make up for it? Although this allowed the ghost to survive for a few more breaths, from its ferocious expression before death and its relieved eyes after death, it is not difficult to see that this method will cause them to fall into severe pain. The ghost's shrill screams made the people in the town tremble all over. Even though they knew Li Changsheng's record in the previous few days, they still couldn't help but worry that he would fail. Fortunately, the thing that frightened them did not happen until the sun rose. 7 days have passed, no one has died, this round of trials has been passed. When the first ray of sunlight shone on the earth, a loud roar sounded in Li Changsheng's mind, and he hurriedly took back the two spirit beasts. The next moment, the whole person disappeared without a trace. Senior, where have you been? Wang Qiulin, who ran to give gifts, looked around, but did not see Li Changsheng. He could only sigh helplessly and tell the mayor and others the news. Why did the senior leave so suddenly? Is it because we didn't treat him well enough? This incident made the mayor and others panic. Although they were mortals, they also knew the status of giant and cultivators, not to mention that Li Changsheng was not an ordinary giant and cultivator. Maybe the senior had something important to do and left in a hurry. Don't think too much, Wang Qiulin hurriedly spoke to comfort him. He changed the subject and said, this year's 1,000 ghosts tribulation has passed. You should arrange manpower as soon as possible and resume production. When Li Changsheng regained his sight, he found that he had actually arrived at the gate of San County. The city wall was majestic, up to 60 to 70 meters high. Although the bricks and stones were also second-level spiritual materials, they were of excellent quality. The method of attracting the sun and storing the spirits arranged on it was also more complicated than that of Chengtown. He could even feel a sense of fatal threat from it. And among the tens of thousands of bricks and stones, in addition to the stored solar energy, there was another different kind of yang energy. Li Changsheng felt vaguely familiar, but when he thought about it carefully, he seemed to have never seen it before. He could only put it aside for the time being and find a way to find out after entering the city. According to the previous situation, there should be third-level ghosts in this round of trial tasks. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but frown. Although Li Changsheng didn't think that ghosts of the same realm would be his opponents, his task was not to destroy ghosts, but to protect mortals. If the ghosts were too powerful, the difficulty of his task would increase accordingly. Suddenly, a sound like a huge bell rang in his mind, and its content made him stunned. The task of this round of trials is to eliminate 9 third-level ghosts and 1,000 low-level ghosts within 9 days. The task content has been changed. Is it because this round of ghost disasters is too severe? Do you think I can't protect mortals well? If that's the case, then he has to be careful, lest he fail the trial on the 3rd level. Welcome to Sam County. Just as Li Changsheng was thinking, the city gates suddenly opened and several cultivators flew out. The two in the lead were both Jinden, both in the middle stage of Jinden, and then there were several foundation building cultivators. I am King Fan and King Gru, I am honored to meet you. The two bowed their heads to greet him, and those who were building their foundations behind them bowed and greeted him, calling him senior. I am Wang Guangling, I am honored to meet you too. King Fan was very enthusiastic and said, I wonder where you are practicing in the sacred mountain. Just an unknown casual cultivator. As soon as this was said, a hint of surprise flashed in the eyes of King Fan and the others. How could a casual cultivator practice to the late stage of Jinden? And seeing the perfect and rich spiritual light around him, it can be seen that he has a deep foundation. Chapter 659 Indifference. You know, the two of them came from a big power, and they were quite talented. With the influx of resources, they had just entered the middle stage of the Golden Core. Therefore, Qing Fan and Qing Rong concluded that Li Changsheng was born extraordinary, and was most likely a direct disciple of a top power. As a result, the two of them acted more eagerly, and even had a tendency to please him. Li Changsheng probably guessed their thoughts, but he didn't mean to explain. After all, having a backer could avoid a lot of trouble, even though this was their imagination. But as long as he didn't admit it, didn't object, and maintained an ambiguous attitude. The two of them had preconceived ideas and shouldn't have any doubts. Two Taoist friends, let's go into the city first. After all, ghosts are coming tonight, and we have to make some preparations, Li Zhirui greeted with a smile. We are negligent, please come in, Taoist brother. When he spoke again, the address had changed. Compared with Taoist friend, Taoist brother was obviously more intimate. Qing Fan led the way and said with a smile, with Brother Dao here, this time the tide of ghosts is nothing but a landslide, vulnerable to a single blow. Yes, with Brother Dao's strength, those ghosts are definitely no match. Li Zhirui smiled and said nothing. Although he was very confident in his own strength, he was not an arrogant person. Instead, he was deeply influenced by Li Zhirui's true teachings and acted cautiously. Amid the crowd and flattery, the group walked into the place with the most abundant spiritual energy in the city, a mansion with 6 entrances. When approaching, the spiritual energy between heaven and earth reached the level of the third-order spiritual vein. After entering the gate, the spiritual energy was even higher, but it had not yet reached the level of the fourth-order spiritual vein. Brother Dao, rest in Kingsong Courtyard today. After my junior brother and I pack up, we will move to Kiudao Courtyard, where the spiritual energy is the most abundant, Qing Fan said calmly, not feeling that there was anything wrong with giving up the cave. Upon hearing this, Li Zhirui hurriedly shook his head and refused, saying, thank you for your kindness, Taoist friend, but I won't stay in the county for long. I will leave after the ghost tide passes. Don't bother me so much. Seeing his resolute expression, Qing Fan knew that he was not pretending to refuse, so he stopped talking about it and smiled. Today's preparations are insufficient, and the welcoming banquet may be a bit shabby. I hope Taoist brother won't mind it, but isn't the ghost tide starting tonight? Isn't it a bit inappropriate to hold a banquet? Li Zhirui's eyebrows moved slightly, and just as he was about to frown, they disappeared in an instant. The feeling these two gave him. It seems that they don't take this disaster too seriously, nor do they care about the lives of ordinary people. But Li Zhirui recalled carefully and found that their concept is very common among cultivators, especially high-level cultivators. Because as the cultivation level increases, the gap between cultivators and mortals becomes larger and larger, and gradually, they will feel that they are not of the same race as mortals. Naturally, their attitude towards mortals will become cold. Of course, not all high-level cultivators are like this. There are still some who care about mortals and want to protect their existence, but they are relatively rare. Brother, it seems that this is your first time to go down the mountain for training. Qingrong smiled softly and said, this tide of ghosts will slowly become stronger as time goes by, but in the beginning, the strength of the ghosts will not be too strong. With the strength of other cultivators in the city, it is enough to deal with it, so brother, you can rest assured that the banquet will not be disturbed, but doing so will inevitably lead to the tragic scene of family destruction and death. No wonder the conditions for completing the trial have changed, otherwise with the mentality of the two of them, I am afraid that I might really be eliminated in the third round. Li Zhirui thought to himself. Thank you for your kindness, fellow Taoists, but there is no need to welcome you. Let's wait until the ghost tide is over before celebrating. Qing Fan and Qingrong looked at each other and smiled. That's good, it gives us more time to prepare, and I will definitely satisfy you by then. Brother, you must have been tired after the long journey, so we won't disturb you too much. After saying that, he bowed and turned away. Brother, this guy doesn't give us face. After returning to the Seeking Dao Academy, Qingrong couldn't wait to complain as soon as the door was closed. It's his first time down the mountain, so he naturally doesn't understand the ways of the world. Qing Fan looked calm, and was obviously more calm. Brother, do you think he went down the mountain this time to find an opportunity to break through the nascent soul? Qingrong's eyes flashed with a strange light, and he unconsciously lowered his voice and said, if we get that opportunity, can we go one step further? Although there are no magic cultivators in this world, and even the inheritance of the magic way has been completely destroyed, it does not mean that there are no bad people. Killing people and stealing treasures is not uncommon. Let's see the strength of that person first. If he is strong, even if the two of them join forces, they are not his opponent. Obviously, Qing Fan also has this idea. After all, the nascent soul is not only stronger, but also has a lifespan that is doubled. Who doesn't want to go one step further? But compared to Qingrong, he is more cautious and sober. Unfortunately, the calculations of the two could not be carried out at all. Li Zhirui knew nothing about their dark thoughts. He sat cross-legged in the quiet room to recover in order to prepare for the next battle. Time flew by. The sun had just set, and the sky turned into a dark night in just a quarter of an hour. The yin energy between heaven and earth became extremely active. Li Chengsheng stopped practicing instantly because he was surprised to find that the spiritual energy around him was actually infected by yin energy. How is this possible? Li Chengsheng's face was full of disbelief. You know, in terms of grade, spiritual energy is higher than yin energy. How could there be a situation of rebellion? It seems that there are still many secrets in this world. However, he did not have the mind to find out, because he did not belong to this world. Everything he did now was just for the trial and for the reward. There was no need to know so many things. Whoosh whoosh, in an instant, the wind blew violently. And several third-level ghosts drove a large number of low-level ghosts to come. Everyone be careful. The power of ghosts has increased this year. All mortals should close the doors and windows, and do not go out no matter what sound you hear. Otherwise, life and death are at your own risk. A roar spread throughout the county with the help of the formation. Even in Kingsong Courtyard, Li Chengsheng could hear it clearly. He opened the gate of the courtyard with some curiosity and looked at the Kiudeo courtyard not far away, and found that the two people had no intention of taking action at all. Li Chengsheng didn't care what the two people thought. He took a step forward, flew into the sky, and ran straight to the city wall. He wanted to complete this round of tasks as soon as possible. After all, the trial time was limited. He had already wasted a lot of time in the previous 2 rounds of trials. Now he could speed up as much as possible. He still wanted to impact the high-level trial. Brother, that person has taken action. It's a good time to see how strong he is. King Fan opened his eyes and cast a water mirror with the help of the formation to see Li Chengsheng's every move. Chapter 660 Calculation. These 3-level ghosts are all in the middle stage. Is it just a coincidence or something else? Li Chengsheng looked at the arrogant ghosts and had a strange idea in his mind. Although there was a formation to help, the monks in the city had a hard time resisting. If he didn't take action, ghosts would definitely rush in. What awaited the mortals in the city would be a bloody massacre. Boom! Li Chengsheng killed a group of low-level ghosts close to the city wall with a casual blow. The sea of fire was raging, and the scorching temperature made the surrounding low-level ghosts retreat. And his action also attracted the attention of the 3-level ghosts. Roar! Giant monk! You are looking for death? The 3-level ghosts roared in unison and rushed towards Li Chengsheng together, holding the magic weapon condensed by yin qi, carrying the momentum of breaking through the air and smashing towards him. Li Chengsheng looked solemn. If their attacks were allowed to fall, the formation arranged on the city wall would probably be broken. The monks, who were already weak, would not be able to stop the ghost tide at that time. Even if Qing Fan and Qing Rong took action at that time, the city would be devastated and many people would die. Alice, in order to avoid such a tragedy, Li Chengsheng could only cast a spell to resist their attack. He cast a spell quickly, and the magic power poured out. The spiritual light flowed, and a little bit of fire emerged from his fingertips, floated away, grew against the wind, and turned into a big fire lotus to block those yin-qi magic weapons. Qi. The extremely yang solar spirit fire and the extremely yin-dense yin-qi collided with each other, and the two offset each other, and a thick smoke sprayed all around. When the smoke dissipated, not far in front of the city wall, there appeared a strange scene of a sea of fire on one side and a snowy field on the other. This man is so powerful. He can fight against several third-level ghosts by himself. Qing Rong, who witnessed all this with a water mirror, couldn't help but sigh. Although there is a gap in strength between the two sides, the ghosts have the advantage in numbers, and with the blessing of the Moon of Dark Tide, the two advantages combined can almost make up for the gap. It seems that he is really a direct disciple of a big force, and his strength is far beyond ours. We can't be enemies with him, we can only make friends with him. Qing Fan's eyes flashed with regret. After all, how can making friends compare with getting all his wealth? But knowing that your own strength is far inferior, you still want to take action. What's the difference between that and seeking death? But if he is injured? Thinking of this, Qing Fan's eyes flashed, and the thoughts that were gradually dissipating gathered again. Brother, isn't it a good time now? He and the ghosts are in a stalemate, and we join in to help him break the deadlock. But Qing Fan shook his head and said, I'm afraid he won't like us if we help now. After all, the situation was unfavorable just now, and they didn't take action. What's the point of taking action now? As for the excuse that he was practicing and didn't notice the situation outside, do you really think he is a fool? He even believes such words. Why don't we help him? Qing Fan's eyes flashed with a dark color, and his tone was light, but every word penetrated into Qing Rong's heart. But in this way, San County may not be able to be defended. Qing Rong was also somewhat tempted, but hesitant. Because according to Qing Fan's plan, at the most critical moment, the formation was closed. Without the protection of the formation, Li Zhirui would have to be distracted to cast defensive spells and could not attack with all his strength. If he could be injured by ghosts, it would be even better. But in this way, the mortals in the entire county would probably become the blood food of the ghosts. If they were a little more ruthless, in order to prevent the news from being leaked, even if someone survived by chance, they would die in their hands. But in this way, their mission to garrison here and protect mortals would also be considered a failure, and they would be punished by the sect, and the punishment of the sect is not light. This is the most critical point. Those mortals died, and Qing Rong would not care no matter how many died. But for a force, mortals are the root and basis of their continuation and growth. There are hundreds of thousands of mortals in a county, and hundreds of thousands of mortals in the entire county. If all of them die in the mouths of ghosts, then the number of disciples they recruit each year is likely to be reduced by hundreds. If you and I can break through the nascent soul, how can the sect punish us? It will be too late to reward us by then. Qing Fan bewitched. After the breakthrough, not only can you become an elder of the sect and have a respected status, you will no longer be sent to such a place with thin spiritual energy. More importantly, your lifespan will increase greatly. Junior brother, your lifespan and mine is only 100 or 200 years. If you can't break through during this period, you can only wait for death. Opportunities like now are rare. Qing Rong was moved. There was a faint red light in his eyes, and he said sinisterly, "Brother, what you said is very true. But that method is not safe." "Oh? What do you think, junior brother?" Qing Rong's mouth showed a cruel look, and he said, "Since we have decided to take action, we naturally cannot show mercy. Senior brother is stronger. When the time is right, I will close the formation, and senior brother will attack with all his strength. Coupled with the attack of the ghosts, he will definitely die." Okay, Qing Fan cheered, and then changed the subject, saying, "But it is safer for you and me to attack together. Do you really think he can't see his little tricks? Don't you just want him to be the first to come forward? If something happens, he will be the first to suffer. Brother is still smarter." Qing Rong smiled and praised, without any embarrassment of having his intention seen through. Li Zhirui didn't know that the two brothers had actually calculated him. At this time, he was concentrating on dealing with the ghosts. With the help of the flames in the sea of fire that were contaminated with yang energy, he cast spells to reduce his own mana consumption. Moreover, Li Zhirui's target this time was not the third-level ghosts, but the most numerous low-level ghosts. As soon as he thought about it, countless flames flew out of the sea of fire. With a blessing of mana, they turned into huge fireballs and smashed into the ghost tide. The purpose of doing this was to reduce the strength of the ghosts, reduce the pressure on the monks and the city, and allow him to concentrate on dealing with these third-level ghosts next. After all, Li Zhirui also needs the formation to help defend. With a formation, he can launch attacks at will without distracting himself from defense. And the formation needs people to maintain it. In the case that Qing Fan and Qing Rong do not take action, these monks are the best candidates. But speaking of it, are the two really not going to take action? Li Zhirui felt a little strange in his heart. He knew that the monks guarding the city also had tasks. If the city is broken, they will be punished by their forces. But now that he was in the middle of a fierce battle, he couldn't be distracted and think too much. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 661, Take Action. The combined efforts of several third-level ghosts put a lot of pressure on Li Zhirui, but he did not summon the spirit beast to help. He just took this opportunity to hone himself. Of course, if he really couldn't win, he wouldn't hesitate. Li Zhirui's magic power was extremely fierce. Wherever the fire passed, there were wailing ghosts. On the bright day, even those third-level ghosts didn't dare to resist. And they seemed to have learned some secret method, and they cooperated very well. For a while, Li Chengsheng couldn't take them down. As a result, the battle between them suddenly fell into a stalemate. Brother, that person is very powerful, why don't we do it now? Qingfan looked at Shui Jing intently, and after a moment, he shook his head and smiled. Brother, don't worry, Tian hasn't come out yet. This kind of thing, either don't do it, or kill it with one blow, and he's waiting for the best time to make a move. King Rong's eyes lit up when he heard this, and a bright and sinister smile appeared on his face. He said, brother is still thoughtful, and I am far inferior to him. At this time, Li Chengshen, who was fighting with the ghosts, also realized that something was wrong. As the night deepened, the moon jumped into the sky, the yin energy between heaven and earth became more majestic and rich, and the ghosts became more powerful. As long as you die obediently, we will not torture you for your good cultivation. The leading third-level ghost laughed loudly, as if he had already eaten Li Chengshen. Humph! Who lives and who dies, that's uncertain. Li Chengsheng snorted coldly and sacrificed his life magic weapon, the Great Sun Fire Orb. The orb was in the sky, as if the sun had returned to the sky, and the warm and hot sunlight fell for several miles, suppressing the active yin energy again. Who are you? Why have my ghost clan never heard of your existence? The face of the third-level ghost was as gloomy as water, and the red ghost eyes stared at Li Chengshen, as if he wanted to deeply imprint his appearance in his mind. The ghost clan naturally knew that Yankee was extremely restraining to them. The sun was hanging high in the sky, and they could not do anything to it. However, among the cultivators, as long as there was a cultivator who practiced the yang attribute, unless he never showed up in his life, he would definitely be known by them. You know, the ghost clan specially arranged a large number of ghosts to wander day and night, just to search for yang attribute cultivators. Then they would do their best to kill them. Even if it would cost a huge price, they would not allow such cultivators to exist. And like Li Chengshen, whose cultivation was already in the late giant stage, he was still practicing the yang and the fiercest. The sun method that was the most restraining to the ghost clan should have been on the must-kill list of the clan early. Wang Guangling, a casual cultivator, Li Chengsheng sneered and said, let me see what else you can do. With the blessing of his life magic weapon, his offensive became more and more fierce, and every move was full of strong yang energy. Not to mention those low-level ghosts, even the besieged third-level ghosts did not dare to approach. Even if all of us die here today, we will kill you, the leading ghost howled to the sky, and a terrifying suction force burst out of his body, taking all the ghosts and yin energy around him into his body. In an instant, a ghost with a height of 9 feet, a green face and fangs, and a giant weapon in each hand appeared outside the city. Everyone, merge with me and destroy this official. It did not rush to attack, but looked at several third-level ghosts not far away with its cold and scarlet ghost eyes. If they are not tactful and are unwilling to take the initiative to enter its stomach, then it does not mind helping them. It would have been fine if he hadn't reacted before, but now that he was on guard, how could Li Chengsheng continue to give him the opportunity to strengthen himself? He stretched out his hand and pointed at the Sunfire Orb, and heard a phoenix cry and a crow cry, and 2 mythical top spirit beasts flew out. One was covered with long feathers, red all over, with eyes as sharp as a goshawk, and its claws and beak were black, shining with cold light. The other was covered with golden, and its huge body revealed an imperial aura that looked down on everything. It held its head high, and its dark eyes showed disdain for all living things in the world. Suzaku, 3-legged golden crow. 2 exclamations rang out at the same time in the giant ghost and the Seeking Dao courtyard. But soon, they realized that this was not a real beast, but was constructed by the Sun Fire and the Southern Ming Fire. The reason why they didn't react at the first time was because the terrifying momentum shocked their minds. Humph! A mere phantom, how dare you be so presumptuous, the giant ghost roared, as if trying to cover up his previous gaffe. Several black lights flew out of his body, wrapping around those third-level ghosts, trying to force them into his body. Lie. Li Chengsheng ignored the voice in his ear, and with a thought, he controlled the 2 phantoms of the divine beasts. The vermilion bird pounced on the third-level ghosts that had not yet merged, and the 3-legged golden crow attacked the huge ghost. The Southern Ming Fire has the power to exorcise evil spirits and purify. When the black lights came into contact with it, they melted like spring snow and dissipated in an instant. The Sun Spirit Fire restrained all evil spirits, and the ghost was no match at all. Brother, it's time to take action. If you don't take action, the ghost will be destroyed by him, King Rong said anxiously in the Seeking Dao courtyard. King Fan didn't expect that Li Changsheng's strength was so powerful, and his skills were extremely restraining ghosts. The ghosts, who clearly had the two advantages of time and people, could not get any good in front of him. Junior brother, you are right. At this point, they had no way back. Once the matter they stood by and watched was exposed, not to mention whether their own sect would punish them, the forces behind Li Changsheng would definitely not let them go. Unfortunately, they didn't know that Li Changsheng was not a cultivator of this world, and no matter how powerful the forces behind him were, they couldn't do anything to them. Then do it. King Fan looked solemn, and immediately summoned the array plate. The next moment, the array covering the sky above Sand County retreated like a tide, revealing the huge county in front of the ghost. At the same time, Qing Rong sacrificed his own life magic weapon, poured 80% of his magic power into it, and a cold light broke through the air and went straight to Li Changsheng's back. King Fan's movement slowed down for a breath, and he was seen sacrificing a golden ruai, with dazzling spiritual light and carrying 1,000 pounds of power, following closely. What's going on? At the moment when the array dissipated, Li Changsheng couldn't help but be stunned, and his attention was distracted. The huge ghost seized the opportunity and swallowed a third-level ghost, and his momentum rose. When the low-level ghosts that were entangled with the monks saw the formation disappear, they roared in excitement, threw away their opponents, and flew towards the city. Alice, in this situation, he was powerless, and those mortals could only pray for the best. Just as Li Changsheng was about to concentrate and eliminate the third-level ghost in front of him, he suddenly felt a strong sense of danger. Chapter 662 Injured. Li Changsheng summoned Chao Yangwu and Li Zhirui without hesitation, letting them linger around him, and said in a hurry, Ang, defend with all your strength. Ali, prepare for attack. Got it. Not good. How is it possible? How could he have two third-level spirit beasts? King Fan and King Rong, who were hiding in the Seeking Dao courtyard, saw this scene through the water mirror, and their expressions changed drastically. They knew that their calculations had failed. With the opponent's strength, no matter how hard they tried, they were no match. At this time, Li Changsheng didn't know what they were thinking. He believed that Chao Yangwu and Li Zhirui could block the opponent's attack. When he sensed the threat, he instantly thought of King Fan and King Rong, because only they could close the formation and cause him harm. Therefore, Li Changsheng only needed to concentrate on dealing with a terrifying third-level ghost in front of him. After swallowing a lot of yin qi and ghosts, he had already entered the late third level. And after swallowing the third-level ghost, it made it perfect at the third level in one fell swoop. In terms of strength, it has surpassed him. But before that, Li Changsheng needs to eliminate the other third-level ghosts first, so as not to be devoured by them to strengthen himself. Although he knows that the possibility of breaking through the fourth level is extremely small, he can't be lucky in such things. If it succeeds, even if his attributes restrain the opponent, he will never be an opponent. At that time, he will not even pass the third round of the competition. Not only will it be embarrassing, but more importantly, he will miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In the blink of an eye, the Suzaku, which has obtained a large amount of mana, has skyrocketed in power, spewing Nanming Lihurl, purifying the evil and yin energy on the ghosts. As the foundation is purified, the realm of the third-level ghosts falls and slowly disappears. Ho-ha, the human race is really shameless. In the face of a powerful enemy, they are still calculating against each other. The ghost laughed wildly, and the seemingly huge and bulky body turned into a residual shadow and rushed straight to Li Changsheng. The three-legged golden crow that had been entangled with it seemed to have its dignity challenged. With a flash of golden light, it moved even faster, and its claws wrapped in the sun's spiritual fire grabbed the ghost's head. If it was caught by the golden crow, this huge head would definitely be shattered. As a last resort, the ghost could only stop, and its yin energy burst out, turning into a black canopy to block its head. During the time it wasted, the Suzaku, which had just dealt with a third-level ghost, came over. The two great beasts joined forces to deal with it, and with Li Changsheng on the side, the situation became extremely unfavorable to it. As for the attacks of King Fan and the others, they were also blocked by the two spirit beasts who had been prepared. If they were not worried about Li Changsheng being in danger, Chao Yongcrow and Li Zhirui would have rushed over to attack them. But what no one expected was that a battle that ended quickly broke out between the two of them. Why? King Rong asked with a look of unwillingness and confusion, covering his danshan. Because we failed, We will face the pursuit and bounty from all over the world. I need more spiritual objects to ensure that I can live longer, Qin Fan said calmly. So, junior brother, you can go with peace of mind. I will take your share and live well, ha 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 ha. Really, my good senior brother? The pair of eyes that gradually lost their luster were filled with overwhelming resentment. Even though he had lost his vitality, he was still staring at Qin Fan. Qin Fan didn't care. After quickly collecting it, he turned into a rainbow light and fled into the distance. At this time, the city can be said to be a sea of blood and corpses, a purgatory on earth. From the old man in his 70s and 80s to the newborn baby, countless mortals died in the hands of ghosts, and the ghosts who absorbed a lot of blood in essence have improved their strength to varying degrees. This further exacerbated the death of mortals. Even if those monks have tried their best to protect mortals, they are just a mantis trying to stop a chariot without the help of the formation in front of tens of thousands of ghosts. Facing this situation, Li Zhirui was powerless. The only thing he could do now was to release the remaining spiritual beast, Yangli Firebird, but he was only in the late second stage, which was like a drop in the bucket in the face of this disaster. In addition, he had to get rid of the only remaining third-level ghost as soon as possible. Biting the elixir in his mouth, a huge amount of mana quickly filled the bottom of his Danshan, and shouted, Aang, Ali, go all out and kill it as soon as possible. The two third-level spiritual beasts joined the battlefield upon hearing the sound. In addition to the projection of the divine beast released by the natal magic weapon and Li Zhirui himself, the huge ghost was no match at all and was soon beaten to a critical condition. Even if I die, I will take you away. The ghost's current situation was already powerless, and he no longer resisted stubbornly. He directly encouraged the yin qi in his body and wanted to have a vigorous explosion. In fact, it knew in its heart that this self-explosion might not cause much damage to Li Zhirui, but all the mortals and monks in the city behind him would not escape death. Want to self-destruct? Have you asked for my opinion? Li Zhirui snorted coldly, and the sunfire orb that had been suspended in the air suddenly burst into a dazzling spiritual light, and the vermilion bird and the three-legged golden crow all merged into it, wrapping up the ghost. A shrill, hair-raising scream rang out. When the spiritual light dissipated, only a deep pit that was burned into a crystal stone was left on the spot, telling the world about the terrifying flame. Humph! Li Zhirui, who had been standing on the city wall, suddenly groaned, and a trace of blood oozed from the corner of his mouth. If you look closely, you will find that he is now leaning on the parapet to stand, and he did not fall down. Zhirui, are you okay? The two spirit beasts hurriedly came forward and asked anxiously. It's just that the mana consumption is too great, and I am a little exhausted. Li Zhirui forced a smile and lied. He didn't want them to worry. In fact, because of the rough refining of too many spiritual pills, there were many problems with the meridians in his body, and he needed to rest for a few months to fully recover. But how could he have so much time to recover during the trial? It would be no good to tell them about it instead of making them distressed. Don't worry about me. Go to the city quickly, eliminate those ghosts, and save more mortals. Chao Yongwu shook his head and said, let Li stay to protect you. I will go alone. After that, without waiting for him to speak, he turned into his true body and flew to the center of the city. He kept gathering magic power in his mouth, and then suddenly spit it into the sky. A moment later, a huge meteorite burning with blazing flames fell from the sky. But it did not fall down, but hovered over the city, and the blazing light illuminated every corner of the city. All low-level ghosts exposed to the light, after a scream, turned into a wisp of green smoke and disappeared from this world. Chapter 663, Seeking Help. About a quarter of an hour later, Chao Yongwu withdrew his magical power. Due to the excessive consumption of mana, the feathers that were originally dazzling have now become much duller. Although many mortals died in the mouths of desperate ghosts during this period, in general, the efficiency of saving people is definitely much higher than that of him saving them one by one. At this time, Li Zhirui also recovered some mana, and floated to the monk with the highest cultivation on the city wall, and asked, do you have a way to contact the monks in the county city? To reply to the senior, there is a set of sound transmission array in the city, but I don't know what the situation is now, the monk responded with a sad face. If there is no problem, then you should contact them as soon as possible, otherwise when the ghost tide comes tomorrow night, Sen County will really be lost. Li Zhirui turned around and returned to King Sangin without waiting for his reply. His injuries are now quite serious and he cannot be neglected. As for if the sound transmission array cannot be used, he can only rely on the monks to pass on the message. And he has to wait until the sky is bright before he can act, otherwise it will be no different from sending himself to death. But in this case, time is a bit too late. At their speed, it takes 2 hours just to fly to the county city. Even if the return trip is faster, it will take 1 hour. In addition, they need to explain the reasons, mobilize monks, resources, etc., leaving them with at most 2 hours to set up the formation. Because during the period of rising Yin-Qi, there are only 6 or 7 hours in the day. As soon as Li Chengsheng left, the group of monks looked at each other in bewilderment. Alice. What is this? Obviously, they were still full of confidence in this ghost tide because of the participation of Li Chengsheng, the golden elixir, and believed that the loss this time would not be too great. Maybe in the evaluation of the sect, they will get a medium or even high judgment and get a generous reward. But the development of things was beyond everyone's expectations. Brothers Qing Fan and Qing Rong actually attacked Li Chengsheng with the intention of killing him, even at the cost of destroying San County. Now, let alone a medium judgment, there will be no low judgment. What awaits them is definitely the punishment of the sect. Damn it, a certain monk couldn't help but curse, as if this would vent his anger. Alice, the old monk in the lead sighed and said, there are so many things to do now, so let's do it separately. Soon, everyone assigned tasks. Some were responsible for counting the number of casualties, and some were responsible for cleaning up the county. In short, unless they were seriously injured and unable to move, all other monks had something to do. The old monk hurriedly ran into the courtyard and went straight to the small courtyard where the sound transmission array was located. Seeing that it was not damaged, he was relieved. He strode in and sent a sound transmission note in concise and clear words. Because Qing Fan and Qing Rong betrayed the human race, the array was closed in San County, and countless people in the city were killed and injured. Please send people to support the county city as soon as possible. The second sound transmission note explained the details of what happened. The first sound transmission note caused an uproar. For a time, a large amount of spiritual light flew out of Han's County City and gathered in the city lord's mansion. City Lord, what happened? You summoned us in the middle of the night. Could it be that some ghosts dared to invade the county city? A burly man asked before he came in. Although there are ghost tides in the county city, the threat is not great. After all, any county city is a heavy city. Not only are there Yuanying monks, but there are also a large number of low-level monks. If the ghosts want to invade the county city, they have to pay a huge price. But after the ghosts break through the third level, they have complete spiritual wisdom and fear of death in their hearts. Naturally, they don't want to die. The city lord of Han's County City looks like a mortal scholar, with a handsome face and no momentum, but as soon as he opened his mouth, all the monks present fell silent. Let's talk about it after everyone arrives, soon, except for the monks in the closed-door retreat, all the golden elixir and Yuanying in the city arrived. The formation of San County has been broken, and the mortals have suffered heavy losses. Next, we need to arrange a third-level formation master and 2 golden elixir to help. Boom. As soon as these words came out, it was like thunder in the sky, which shocked everyone. How is this possible, San County? I remember there were 2 giants in charge, and there were many disciples. The formation was also reinforced. How could it be broken on the first night? In the past 10 years, there has been no county town being breached in the county. Could it be because the Ghost Clan betrayed the Dao Oath contract? They are so bold. Everyone was talking at once, expressing their own opinions, causing the hall to be extremely noisy. Quiet, the city lord shouted with a cold face. The reason why the formation was broken will be determined in the future. Now, who of you is willing to go to San County for support? He looked at the sound transmission talisman and naturally knew what the reason was, but hearing is not believing. This is just his one-sided statement, and he has to send people to investigate. Moreover, he is quite interested in the cultivator who suddenly appeared. For a while, no one spoke. The Yuanying cultivator could not go, and the Jiandan cultivator was worried about being killed. After a while, someone asked, "May I ask the city lord, is the garrison Jiandan in San County still alive?" One died and one lived. After a pause, the city lord added, "The one who died was not killed by a ghost, and there is now a Jiandan cultivator in San County who practices a Yang attribute method." Yang attribute method, everyone exclaimed again. They were all considered middle and high level, and they knew some news. "City lord, I am willing to go. The burly man stood up and clasped his fists. Then count me in as the Taoist priest. An old Taoist priest with white hair and wearing a Taoist robe with a 10,000 formation diagram also stood up. However, he was not responsible for resisting ghosts, but only repairing the formation. The last quota was taken by a boy who looked no more than 13 or 14 years old. In that case, the three of you go to the warehouse to collect a set of formation materials and the reward for this support, and hurry there when it is bright, even for a giant and cultivator, when the yin qi is rising. There is no guarantee that he can travel in the middle of the night and be safe. Yes, the three bowed and walked out of the hall, each preparing to go. Ali, do you think Cheng Sheng's injury is serious? Li Huok sighed and said, Cheng Sheng swallowed too many elixirs in a short period of time, and his meridians couldn't bear it. He doesn't look injured, but he needs time to recuperate. Then what about his next trial task? Chao Yongwu looked worried. He is still in the third round of trials. This result is very bad for Li Chengsheng. Of course, it depends on us. Fortunately, this world is full of ghosts and other evil things, which are naturally restrained by the two of us. Even if Chengsheng can't exert his full strength, with us here, he should be able to pass the fourth round of tests. At the end, Li Huok was no longer confident. Chapter 664 Weirdos. The cultivation of Li Chengsheng's two spirit beasts is only the middle stage of the third stage. Like the third stage ghosts tonight, although their attributes are restrained, they cannot defeat many people alone. It doesn't matter. There are 5 third stage ghosts tonight. We just need to work together to deal with 4 more. Chao Yangwu was full of confidence this time and said, 4 of them are definitely not our opponents. Li Huok thought the same, then we should hurry up to recover our mana. I heard from Cheng Sheng that there will be a tide of ghosts in the next few days. Soon, the sky was dawning, and the sunlight slowly spread across the land from one point. San County suffered extremely heavy losses. The number of mortals has decreased by 60%. Every household has white cloth hanging, and some families have even died, and no one has collected the bodies. There are also a lot of damages in the city. Several formation bases have been completely destroyed. A large number of spirit objects and formation masters are needed. The many cultivators who have been busy for a long time finally have time to gather together. Everyone talks about the aspects they are responsible for. Generally speaking, there is no good news. The old monk listened to these reports. His face, which was originally full of wrinkles, was now like the bark of a tree, with thousands of ravines. The biggest problem in San County now is that the eyes of those mortals looking at us are full of undisguised hatred. Living in the same county as the monks, many people have monks in their homes. Under the influence of what they see and hear, some common sense is naturally very clear. The formation that suddenly dissipated could not be done by the ghosts at all, so there is only one possibility. The monks took the initiative to close the formation. And if the formation had not been closed, those ghosts would not have rushed into the city and slaughtered mortals wantonly, and their relatives and friends would not have died in this disaster. The source of all this is the monks. They don't know who did it, but it doesn't matter. They just need someone to vent their resentment, even though this is the master immortal they respected before. The old monk did not expect the problem to be so serious. He said with an ugly expression, the number of mortals in the city has already decreased sharply. If the remaining people do not cooperate, even if the county city sends a formation master, there is no way to construct a complete Yang-Qi formation. This formation is based on the method of attracting Yang to preserve the spirit, absorbing the sun's energy and the human Yang essence. Both are indispensable, otherwise the power will be greatly reduced. The familiar and unfamiliar Yang-Qi that Li Chengsheng felt before was the human Yang essence. It can be seen from the name that this is extracted from the human body. If mortals are unwilling to cooperate, they can't force it, right? If they really dare to do this, after the ghost tide, it may be their death. Push all the sins onto Qing Fan and Qing Rong, saying that they betrayed the human race in order to practice, so as to reduce the hostility of mortals towards us, the old Taoist said helplessly. At the same time, go to help the mortals and try to leave a good impression on them. This is the only useful method he can think of. In fact, there are other ways, such as casting forgetfulness spells, but they are only at the foundation building stage, and their mana is scarce. Even if they learn it, they can't use it on all mortals. Just when they were easing their relationship with the mortals, the monks sent by the county city to support finally arrived. Looking at the black smoke and the wailing and crying that resounded throughout the city, Although they were mentally prepared on the way here, the reality was far more serious than they expected. In an instant, the faces of the three people became extremely ugly. Greetings to the three seniors, the old monk hurriedly came forward and bowed. How did the formation break? The old Taoist asked anxiously. The old monk felt a little strange. The sound transmission talisman he sent back mentioned these things, but since the senior asked, he could only quickly tell the reason for the matter. Damn Qing Fan and Qing Rong, it doesn't matter if they die, but they actually framed the monks in the battle during the ghost tide. This alone can convict them of a crime. The strong man cursed loudly, his expression was very excited. Well, there is not much time left. Let's set up the formation first and then chat, the young monk said. The strong man originally wanted to visit Li Chengshen, but after hearing this, he had to give up for the time being. With the concerted efforts of everyone, the formation was successfully rearranged and a lot of yang energy was absorbed for use tonight. Old Taoist, my mission is completed, and now it depends on your ability. Take me to visit that fellow Taoist Wang. The old monk's face froze, and he said, I hope the immortal master will forgive me. This senior seems to have been seriously injured and is in seclusion to heal his injuries. Well, since I can't see it, forget it. The old Taoist shook his head and left, randomly choosing an empty room to live in. Soon, night fell. The ghost tide attacked again, and it was more ferocious today than yesterday. Ahem, the closed door of King Song Court opened with a cough. Li Chengsheng came out this time to deal with the remaining 4 third-level ghosts in the trial mission, but he was not the main attacker. Chao Yongwu and Li Zhirui helped to deal with him. He only needed to make a move. As for the 1,000 low-level ghosts in the mission, they had already been dealt with by the fires yesterday. Senior, is your injury healed? The old monk was sharp-eyed and was the first to see Li Chengshen, and asked hurriedly. Now the first person who can survive in the city should be grateful to him as a lifesaver. The other monks who were in rotation also spoke up. It's okay, Li Chengsheng smiled and responded to everyone. His eyes inadvertently swept over the strong man and the young man, and he immediately understood that these two people should be the giant and monks sent by the county city to support. He simply greeted the two and concentrated on dealing with a third-level ghost in front of him. Aang, Ali, make a quick decision. Got it. 2 flames shot out, and the ghost didn't even have time to react before it was surrounded by 2 domineering spiritual fires. In an instant, it turned into a wisp of green smoke and disappeared with the wind. What a domineering yang attribute spiritual beast. The strong man who had been paying attention to Li Chengshen with his peripheral vision was amazed in his heart. Is there such a spiritual beast in this world? At the same time, he also saw his weakness and knew that Li Chengshen was now strong on the outside but weak on the inside. This made him even more puzzled and curious. With such an injury, he didn't retreat to treat it properly, but actually ran out to fight. And since the main force was the 2 spiritual beasts, his attack power was mediocre and could not cause much damage at all. What's the point of coming? What if something unexpected happened and caused the injury to worsen? It would be so worthless. A weirdo. This was what the strong man thought of Li Chengshen at this moment. Chapter 665, Treasure. With the help of Chao Yongwu and Li Zhirui, the ghost tide tonight was passed very smoothly without any casualties. This also made the mortals regain some trust in the cultivators. I heard that you practiced a yang attribute technique. I wonder where you learned it from? And these 2 spirit beasts, can you give them up? Just make your request. As soon as the ghost tide was over, the strong man joined and came forward and asked several questions in succession. His eyes were full of passion when he looked at Chao Yongwu and Li Zhirui. Li Chengsheng looked up at him and was about to refuse when he heard a voice in his mind. This round of trials is completed. Then Li Chengsheng and the 2 spirit beasts disappeared out of thin air. Where are the people? The strong man burst out his spiritual consciousness completely, not letting go of every corner within a few miles. Don't look for them, they have left long ago, the young man, who had not spoken, said lightly. The strong man asked in disbelief, there is no spiritual fluctuation, how did he suddenly disappear? The young man did not respond, but the gleam in his eyes revealed that he seemed to know something. When Li Chengsheng appeared again, it was no longer a human city, but a spiritual mountain full of spiritual energy. Where is this? The 2 spiritual beasts beside him gave him some sense of security. Young friend, you are the alien, right? A spiritual light stopped in front of Li Chengshen, revealing a monk like a lily in a jade tree, and said in a gentle voice, I am Zilin, I have a favor to ask you this time. Judging from the aura emanating from his body, this person is actually a god. But Li Chengsheng didn't hear the latter part of the words at all. The 4 words alien echoed in his mind. His throat was extremely dry and dehydrated. It took a lot of effort to spit out a few words and asked, how did the senior know about this? This matter is not a secret among high-level monks. Zilin smiled. Hearing this answer, Li Chengsheng was stunned. The immortals in this world were in decline and almost on the verge of extinction. Fortunately, we spent a huge amount of money and resources to contact the ancestors in the immortal world, and only then were we able to preserve some of the inheritance. He naturally wouldn't say how he did it. Zilin looked at Li Chengsheng steadily and said, I invited you here this time because I have a favor to ask. I am weak and I am afraid I can't do it. Li Chengsheng refused without hesitation. A divine incarnation cultivator and the cultivators behind him couldn't solve the problem, so how could a small golden elixir of his be able to solve it? Don't worry, my friend, there is no danger in this matter. It just requires a Nanming literal origin from your spirit beast. Seeing that Li Chengsheng still didn't give in, Zilin's eyes flashed with impatience. He was a dignified divine incarnation, respected by countless cultivators. Now he had been humbled several times and given the other party enough face. Who would have thought that this small golden elixir was so ignorant? Li Chengsheng certainly knew that he would get the other party if he refused repeatedly, but giving up his origin would mean that Li Hoke would be deficient, and he might not be able to break through in the future. And this also concerns his own path. How could he agree? He dared to refuse, and he also firmly believed that he would not die in the trial. Since the birth of the 10,000 immortal secret realm, countless cultivators have died in the secret realm, or in ambushes from the outside world, but it has never been heard that a cultivator died in the trial. If you agree, you can choose any 3 5th-level spiritual objects, Zilin said patiently. Li Chengsheng's heart moved slightly, but he did not agree immediately, but asked, may I ask the senior, are there any spiritual objects that can restore the origin or enhance the bloodline of spiritual beasts? If there are, it doesn't hurt to agree. Maybe Li Hoke can turn a disaster into a blessing and make its bloodline further. Yes, at this time, his tone has become very cold. I need to choose 2 5th-level spiritual objects first, and then give me the remaining one after the matter is completed. Li Chengsheng seemed to know nothing about this and still put forward his request. Zilin's eyes were cold. Even though he firmly believed that he would not die in the trial, he could not stop trembling in his heart. You are so brave. Do you really think I won't do anything to you? I dare not. Li Chengsheng was alert. Fortunately, he took back the spirit beast as soon as the other party made a request. He was ready to withdraw from the trial. This is a trivial matter. Take a look at these spirit objects to see if there is anything you need. At this time, another spiritual light flew in from a distance. Although there was no breath leaking from her body, she looked like an ordinary woman, but it gave him more pressure. As he spoke, a precious list was unfolded in front of Li Chengsheng. He quickly scanned it, constantly comparing it in his mind, and soon made a decision, saying, I need the Nanmingzu fruit and the Fusang spirit root, and the last spirit object is the Wutong spirit root. The Zhu fruit is used to restore Ali's origin and strengthen his bloodline, and the 2 spirit roots are all his plans for spirit beasts. The Fusang spiritual root is the companion of the 3-legged golden crow. They complement each other and have the effect of accelerating the evolution of the golden crow bloodline spirit beast. The Wutong is the tree where the phoenix family lives and also has the function of strengthening bloodline. The Suzaku is a different species of phoenix. In other words, these 2 spiritual roots can help the 3 spirit beasts in his hands to accelerate their evolution. Okay, the female cultivator agreed without hesitation and left with Zilin. About a quarter of an hour later, she came back alone and handed the Zhu fruit and the Fusang spiritual root to Li Chengsheng. Thank you, senior. After checking the spiritual objects and finding no problems, she accepted them. A Nanming literal origin, the female cultivator said indifferently. Li Chengsheng asked Ali to separate one of the origins and quickly handed it to the other party, and then got the remaining Wutong spiritual root. This round of trial is completed. The moment the transaction was completed, a loud sound came from his mind again. This surprised Li Chengsheng. He had not heard the trial task released before, but now it suddenly showed that it was completed. But before he could think about it, he fell into darkness again. The female cultivator who had reached the state of transformation looked at Li Chengsheng's original position and murmured, "Is this the legendary power of the immortals, with her current cultivation level?" She couldn't even detect the fluctuations, let alone react, outside the secret realm of 10,000 immortals. "Brother Jiu, you finally came out." Zhaoqing had been staying on the spirit ship for a while, unable to leave at all, and was really feeling a little uncomfortable. "Thank you for your hard work," Li Zhirui chuckled and said. "What about the other forces?" When he came out, he didn't find the breath of Li Chengsheng and the other two, so he knew they were still in the trial, and he couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. They hadn't come out for such a long time, which meant they had at least passed the third round of trials. Every additional round in the future would be a good opportunity for them. "I heard from those Yuanying that this year's trial was very difficult, and many cultivators were eliminated early." Zhaoqing's answer surprised Li Zhirui. Chapter 666 End. What's going on? It's not that Li Zhirui looked down on Li Chengsheng and the other two. In fact, there is indeed a big gap between them and the disciples carefully cultivated by the big forces. But Zhaoqing said that the golden cores of many forces have been eliminated, and even a disciple of a spirit transformation force has all come out. Now the entire force is gone. "I don't know. Many of the eliminated golden cores can't explain why they failed." Li Zhirui couldn't help but frown. He didn't encounter such a situation back then, and he had never even heard of it. He still remembered the situation in the trial. It seems that this trial is extraordinary. Now the situation is unclear, and he can't guess anything, so he won't waste energy thinking about it. "You have worked hard during this period. Go around nearby and don't fly too far. After all, this is the territory of the human race." Even if Zhaoqing is a contracted spirit beast, being too ostentatious will definitely cause dissatisfaction among some cultivators. It is better to be cautious. "Got it, don't worry." Before the voice fell, Zhaoqing soared into the sky, turned into a dazzling green light, and soared freely in the sky. When the wings flapped, it could stir up a gust of wind. What a blue wind rock. I wonder which Taoist friend cultivated it. Zhaoqing's appearance caused a burst of exclamations. If it was a fourth-level monster, it would definitely not attract their attention, but a fourth-level spirit beast cultivated by a cultivator is relatively rare. Because the resources consumed by cultivating a spirit beast are far less than cultivating a Yuanying cultivator. That's why it attracts the attention of many Yuanying cultivators. But that's all. For Yuanying forces, cultivating fourth-level spirit beasts is not cost-effective, and for the Huishan forces, there is no need to waste resources. After all, they don't lack this power. And what happened next attracted everyone's attention. From the secret portal that was emitting a bright white light, black shadows suddenly flew out and landed randomly within a radius of 100 miles. This scene made all the cultivators present stunned. They had never seen so many disciples fail the trial at the same time. After a few breaths, they reacted and took out the positioning magic tools to check the whereabouts of their younger generations. "Zhaoqing, go to the east 50 miles and bring Xiangxin back. Another 20 miles to the east, Shenzhe is nearby." Li Zhirui was no exception, and among these Jinden, there were 3 people. Li Chengsheng immediately notified Zhaoqing to protect the 2 of them, and at the same time he himself had to rush to the south dozens of miles away to bring Li Chengshuo back. There were originally hundreds of spirit boats floating in the sky, but only a few remained in place for a while, but it can also be seen that there are no Yuanying cultivators on the boats, but some injured Jinden. The spirit boat sped away, and it only took a quarter of an hour for Li Zhirui to pull Li Chengshuo onto the spirit boat and asked, "Do you still remember what you experienced in the trial?" "I don't remember." Li Chengshuo was about to speak, but found that his memory was blurred, and he was stunned on the spot. You know, as a Jinden cultivator, he can remember clearly even the things that happened decades ago, but now it's only a few days ago, and he has no memory of anything related to the trial. Forget it if you don't remember, only the immortals can do this. Since they are the ones who did it, they will definitely not be able to ask anything, so don't waste time. Which level did you pass in the trial? Only the 4th level, Li Chengshuo said gloomily. Before she went in, she boasted that she would pass the 6th level, but reality slapped her hard. Very good results, Li Zhirui praised. After all, not everyone has this kind of luck. He actually got the 3rd level talisman blessed by the immortals during the trial. Its power is comparable to the 4th level, but the grade has not changed, so it can be used in the trial. It was also because of this that he was lucky enough to pass the 6th level trial. but Li Changshuo still looked gloomy. Seeing this, Li Zhirui shook his head and stopped comforting her, letting her digest it herself. Not long after, they reunited with Zhaoking. Li Xiangxin and Li Changshuo were both uninjured, but Li Changsheng's injuries were serious and he needed to recuperate for a while. Li Zhirui did not ask the two about their trials. He only asked the three to take out the spiritual objects they had obtained. He wanted to collect 2 spiritual objects on behalf of the family. Li Xiangxin and Li Changshuo were both normal, with 4 spiritual objects of different grades, but Li Changsheng took out 7 spiritual objects. Among them, there were 3 5th-grade spiritual objects. "Brother, you passed the 7th level of the trial?" Li Changshuo shouted in surprise. "No, I only passed the 4th level." "Then where did you get these 3 5th-grade spiritual objects?" Li Changshuo was envious. If she had so many spiritual objects, she wouldn't have to worry about the evolution of the moon snake and the howling moon silver wolf. "I don't know," Li Changsheng shook his head. He didn't have any relevant information in his memory. Li Zhirui guessed what was going on. Probably like him back then, he got a gift from the immortal in the trial, but compared to him, his son was better than his father. Shenzhe must have gotten another chance. "Don't let this go, understand?" "Yes," everyone answered in unison. Li Zhirui nodded and began to collect the spiritual objects they had obtained. Needless to say, the first-level spiritual objects were all spiritual gathering grasses. As for the third-level spiritual objects, they just staggered. Li Changsheng's was the golden and silver spiritual hemp, which was used to refine high-level talisman paper. Li Changshuo's was the green oil wood, whose fruit was an excellent fuel. Li Xiangxin exchanged for the 5-element silkworm, which can be used to weave high-level robes, Taoist robes, or special instruments like handkerchiefs. These are spiritual objects that are almost never circulated in the market, but now they are obtained by the Li family because of a trial. Moreover, with their current cultivation, the second-level spiritual objects are of little use to them, so the exchange is also the spiritual objects listed in the family's list that are beneficial to the development of a force. For such extra spiritual objects, the Li family will give a considerable reward. In fact, the Li family requires the clansmen who participate in the 10,000 Immortals secret realm to hand in 2 spiritual objects that are not the lowest level. But they usually get 3 spiritual objects, because those who participate in the trial are all giant and cultivators. And the second-level spiritual objects are of no use to them, so they can only choose to hand them over to the family. "We will stay in the central region for a while," Li Changsheng said quickly. "Father, my injuries are not serious. I can be treated on the spiritual ship. There is no need to stay in the central region." "Haha," Li Zhirui laughed. "I am not staying for you, but there will be a 4th-level secret realm opening soon. I plan to participate and see if I can find any opportunities." Chapter 667 Yellow Bird. The spiritual objects that can cause the internal fighting between the 2 Yuanying of the same sect must be either rare 4th-order spiritual objects or precious 5th-order spiritual objects. Thinking of this, Li Zhirui tried his best to restrain his own aura so as not to be discovered by them before the battle. The strength of the 2 was not much different, and because they were from the same sect, they were very familiar with each other's moves and understood each other's moves, and the fight was hard to separate. "Brother Bai, I advise you to hand over the spiritual object as soon as possible, otherwise you will lose your life, which is not worth it." "I wonder what trump cards junior brother Lu has? Just take them out and let me see." The brothers who were originally in love and righteousness are now fighting for some precious spiritual objects and are not willing to give in. Since senior brother has spoken, junior brother will naturally obey. I saw the magic power in junior brother Lu's danchin rolling out, and a huge black gem appeared on his head. In an instant, a lifelike black dragon took shape, and the dragon bead under his mouth was shining. As the black dragon moved, the sky and the earth changed color, dark clouds pressed down on the city, the wind was blowing, and a murderous aura enveloped the 2. "If this is all you have, then I'm afraid you won't get this golden soul protecting fruit." As he spoke, a sword energy shot up into the sky, and it actually directly cut through the thick dark clouds, breaking the opponent's means. Golden soul protecting fruit. Li Zhirui, who was hiding aside, showed great surprise in his eyes. Although it is only a 4th-level spiritual object, its effect can make every Yuanying cultivator crazy. After taking this fruit, the soul in the sea of consciousness will be protected by a golden light, and in the next 3 hours, it will not be affected by the inner demons below the 5th level. If you swallow the soul-protecting fruit when you are crossing the thunder tribulation of the transformation of the gods, as long as you safely pass the thunder tribulation, then the final inner demon tribulation will not cause you any harm at all. If he can get this spiritual fruit, Li's heir will be more confident about the thunder tribulation of the transformation of the gods. Thinking of this, he is determined to get the soul-protecting fruit. No matter what means are used, we must get it. On the battlefield, it seems to have reached the last moment. One sword strikes, and all spirits are destroyed. Senior brother Bai said in a deep voice, "Junior brother, be careful." There was no gorgeous and colorful changes, only an ordinary sword, which is what any beginner would do in daily practice, swing and cut. But this seemingly ordinary sword, wherever it passed, the earth cracked, the green bamboo collapsed, the clouds dispersed, and even the space appeared with tiny cracks. Li Zhirui, who was hiding on the side, was horrified, and he was not sure if he could withstand this sword. Wu, junior brother Lu controlled the black dragon and tried to block it, but only heard a mournful cry, and the huge dragon body turned into a little spiritual light and drifted away with the wind, and the surface of the black gem also had a few more cracks. Puff. Junior brother Lu was naturally not feeling well because his life magic weapon was damaged. He suddenly spit out a mouthful of blood. And the whole person suddenly became listless and his breath was low. Ahem, after all, senior brother is more skilled. I am ashamed of myself. I only ask senior brother to spare my life for our friendship. Under the threat of death, junior brother Lu pleaded humbly. Why are you so bad? Senior brother Bai shook his head and said, we have been friends for hundreds of years. How could I kill you just for a spiritual object? Thank you, senior brother. Thank you, senior brother. I will follow your lead in the future. But his head was lowered, and his eyes were covered with hatred and murderous intent. Then he used up the last of his magic power and sacrificed his life magic weapon. The black light flashed and disappeared, carrying a huge force to smash towards senior brother Bai. Clang. The imagined sound of flesh and blood breaking did not appear, but was replaced by the clanging sound of metal and stone colliding. I wanted to spare your life, but why did you want to die? Senior brother Bai said with compassion. But Li Zhirui, who was standing by, could see clearly that he actually had no intention of letting his junior brother go. From the beginning to the end, his right hand that was tightly holding the hilt of the sword never relaxed. Catcha, the hand rose and the sword fell, and the body was separated. A Yuanying cultivator died in this bamboo sea. Senior brother Bai walked forward, ready to collect the body and clean up the traces of the battlefield, and suddenly keenly sensed a trace of mana fluctuations, and immediately shouted, I wonder which Taoist friend is here. Li Zhirui was not the only cultivator lying in ambush on the side. And he actually knew this a long time ago, and he even saw the other party coming with his own eyes, so Li Zhirui did not plan to take action immediately. A spiritual object that can cause fellow disciples to kill each other must be a treasure. In your current state, you should hand over the spiritual object as soon as possible, so as not to end up like your junior brother. A cultivator in a red robe slowly walked out, with a swagger on his face, as if he had won over this cultivator surnamed Bai. Then we'll see if you have the strength to do it, senior brother Bai said grimly. But the previous fierce battle consumed a lot of his mana, and now it's inevitable that he is not strong enough, and there are gradually more wounds on his body. Hand over the spiritual objects quickly. Seeing this, the red-robed monk decisively pursued the victory, and used all kinds of magical powers and spells, and soon forced senior brother Bai into a desperate situation. A track beast still fights, not to mention that the other party is a Yuanying monk. Li Zhirui shook his head secretly. The red-robed monk was too anxious. If it were him, if there was no way to kill him quickly, he would slowly consume and entangle him, and he shouldn't press so hard. Sure enough. Senior brother Bai swallowed a violent spirit pill, and his mana in his body was restored to 70% or 80% in an instant, and he slashed out that terrifying sword again. Damn it, the red-robed monk didn't expect such a big change to happen. He looked terrified, and painfully sacrificed a ground escape talisman and fled quickly. Hoo-hoo, after killing the second nascent soul cultivator, senior brother Bai's body softened and he almost fell to the ground, gasping for breath. Obviously, his current state is very bad. And any giant and cultivator could kill him. Zhaoking. Go all out and kill him quickly. Li Zhirui seized the opportunity decisively. Not only did he summon Zhaoking, but he also did not hold back when he took action. With a wave of his hand, hundreds of 4th-level vine seeds scattered around. The next moment, Countless vines grew and spread wildly, dragging his limbs. Zhao King summoned several sharp wind blades and chopped them down on his body. All this was done within 3 breaths. The speed was so fast that senior brother Bai, who was extremely weak, could not react at all. When he wanted to raise his sword, he found that he could not move. And the next moment, he fell into endless darkness. Let's go. Time was urgent, so Li Zhirui directly put away the 2 bodies and searched for spiritual objects after reaching a safe place. At the same time, he ordered Zhao King to destroy the battlefield and then left quickly. Not long after, several spiritual lights came here, and when they saw that the battle was over, they left immediately. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 668 Internal Fight. When Li Zhixun and Li Zhirui talked about the 4th level secret realm before, he didn't say it because Li Chengsheng and others were about to participate in the trial, so as not to disturb their thoughts. But unexpectedly, it caused misunderstanding now. Ha. Others still had some concerns, but Li Chengshua would not give Li Chengsheng face and laughed immediately. In order to avoid embarrassment, Li Zhirui said, so we will stay in the central region for another 6 months. Shenzhe will take this opportunity to heal his injuries. As for Shuer and Xiangxin, you can relax in the Immortal City, but don't go out for training. After all, half a year is not long or short, a bit embarrassing, and not suitable for training. Dad, I want to stay in the central region to find a breakthrough opportunity and the Taiyin spiritual object, Li Chengshua said hurriedly. Have you decided? Seeing her firm face, Li Zhirui was a little helpless. If he didn't agree, this girl would definitely sneak out while he was in the secret realm, and no one could control her. After I come out of the secret realm, we will discuss this matter again. During this time, you stay in the fairy city and protect Shenzhe. Got it? Li Chengshua responded happily. She knew that her father would not refuse. Okay, let's go. Li Zhirui shook his head. Does this girl really think that the central region is so easy to explore? The spirit ship was activated, and in just half an hour, it arrived at the location of the secret realm mentioned by Li Zhixun. Although the secret realm has not been opened yet, many cultivators who know the news have come here, including people like Li Zhirui who have families. When he confirmed the location of the secret realm and that it had not been opened yet, he drove the spirit ship away and went to the nearest fairy city. He rented a small courtyard for Li Changshen and the other 2 for a period of 1 year, as well as some spiritual pills for cultivation. Practice well and wait for me to come back honestly. The last sentence was mainly said to Li Changshuo. Got it, Dad, don't worry. Li Zhirui didn't say anything extra, and soon drove the spirit ship away. Brother, go and heal your wounds. Xiangxin, let's go for a walk in the city. Without the suppression of his elders, Li Changshuo let himself go. Grandmaster, we just came out of the trial. Let's rest for a few days before going out. Li Xiangxin refused, and his reason was also reasonable. I don't know how long I will stay here. There will be plenty of time for you to wander around in the future. After saying that, she pulled Li Xiangxin away. It was obvious that Li Chengshua was holding a grudge for being ridiculed by her. Not to mention the grudge between the brother and sister. When Li Zhirui returned to the secret realm again, he found that there were many more Yuanying cultivators. It seems that this secret realm is quite famous in the central region, otherwise it would not attract so many people to participate. If he had known this, he should have stayed in the Immortal City for a while longer and inquired about this secret realm clearly. Now he was in the dark and knew nothing. Li Zhirui felt annoyed. Moreover, he did not find Li Zhixun and could not get any information from her. We can only make the best of it, and after entering the secret realm, we can investigate the situation on the spot. Li Zhirui shook his head, turned back to the cabin, and waited for the secret realm to open. After about 3 or 5 days, a violent space fluctuation suddenly appeared in the center of the crowd, instantly waking up all the cultivators, and they all came out to look. I saw a huge door appearing out of thin air, shrouded in a faint mist, but it could not stop the people's fiery eyes. It's just an ordinary bamboo forest. Li Zhirui, who didn't know the information about the secret realm, murmured a little disappointedly. Although from their flickering spiritual light, all of them are spiritual bamboos, most of them are only 1 or 2 levels. Among the thousands of spiritual bamboos, there are only a few third-level ones, and there is no trace of fourth-level spiritual bamboos. In fact, this is only a corner of the secret realm, and it cannot reflect the complete situation. Li Zhirui was so disappointed mainly because his expectations were too high. A patriarch who is about to transcend the tribulation and ascend to heaven personally opened his mouth to point out the secret realm. It attracted a large number of Yuanying cultivators and seemed to be quite famous. It was also the first fourth-order secret realm he explored after breaking through the nascent soul stage. With all these factors added up, how could the expectations be low? But in the end, he only saw a piece of ordinary spiritual bamboo. This gap made Li Zhirui's expectations drop sharply. Brother Jiu, the secret realm is about to open. When the time comes, you will take over my body and strive to be the first to enter. Zhao Qing's voice instantly made him sober up. Okay, not long after, the portal suddenly shone with spiritual light, and the layer of white mist dissipated. Everyone knew that this was the official opening of the secret realm. For a while, the nascent soul cultivators used various means. Some, like Li Zhirui, controlled spiritual beasts, some turned into escape lights, and some sacrificed various flying magic tools. The strange spiritual lights gathered together, looking so gorgeous. Everyone wanted to seize the opportunity, but not all cultivators were honest. Some people felt that they were not as fast as others, so they tried to stop them and delay their opponents. Damn it! Don't let me know that it was that bastard who did it, or I will tear you into pieces. All kinds of shouting and cursing were heard. These things had little to do with Li Zhirui, because Zhao Qing's speed was first-rate among all the cultivators. She was so fast that he could only see a ray of green light and could not catch up at all. In the moment before entering the secret realm, Li Zhirui took Zhao Qing back into the space, because the secret realm transmission was random. If he was separated from Zhao Qing at that time, he, a spirit beast, would most likely be hunted down by the cultivators. After a while of spinning, Li Zhirui slowly opened his eyes, and all he saw was green bamboo poles, emerald green bamboo leaves, and a long rustling sound when the breeze blew. Am I in the bamboo sea? In order to determine his position, Li Zhirui flew into the air. No matter how hard he looked into the distance, he could not see the end of the bamboo sea. The area of this bamboo sea is too large. At least hundreds of miles were covered with the green bamboo, and it might be far more than that. After all, his vision was limited. I hope there are high-level spiritual objects in the bamboo sea. Li Zhirui randomly chose a direction, turned into a wisp of breeze, and swam quickly in it. If he had inquired about the news of the secret realm before, he would know that the area of the bamboo sea far exceeded his imagination. Except for a very small part of the space, all other parts of the secret realm are full of various spiritual bamboos. Boom boom, Li Zhirui swam in the bamboo sea, and not long after, he heard a fierce fight. Whether he was thinking of picking up leaks or for other reasons, he immediately turned around and flew towards the source of the fight. In order not to be discovered, Li Zhirui did not get too close to the battlefield, but he could clearly see that both sides of the battle were monks. And judging from the clothes on the two people, they were from the same force. Is it because some precious spiritual object was discovered and unevenly distributed, which caused internal fighting? Apostrophe. Chapter 669, Rare Treasures. It turns out that this secret realm has long been occupied by spiritual bamboo. Through the information in the hands of the two nascent soul cultivators, Li Zhirui no longer knew nothing about the secret realm. He knew that except for a few places, such as some rivers and lakes, and a few places where the fourth-level peak spiritual plant monsters grew, the rest of the land was occupied by spiritual bamboo. There are still several plant-type monsters. Li Zhirui had some interest in them, not that he wanted to take them down. After all, from the fact that they can survive until now, it can be seen that their strength is definitely not bad. This kind of monster is rare in number, and is often caught, swallowed and refined by cultivators or monsters before they grow up. After all, except for those with extraordinary talents like the ginseng monster, they cannot move at all in the low-level period, which greatly increases their danger. But once they grow up, their strength is definitely among the best in the same level, and these fourth-level monsters are like this. And from those jade slips, Li Zhirui was surprised to learn that they would take the initiative to give spiritual objects to give away. It is said that some cultivators have obtained fifth-level spiritual medicines. What is their purpose in doing this? Leaving the secret realm, but after so many years, no monsters have escaped. As for pure kindness, such words can only deceive those fools. People with a little bit of brains will not believe it. How can such a precious spiritual object be taken out without asking for anything? But you can go and see it when the time comes. Li Zhirui temporarily suppressed this idea and continued to sort out the relics of the two Yuanying monks. In addition to the precious golden soul protecting fruit, the two still have some assets, which reduced the space of his stored ring a lot. After a rest, Li Zhirui left the space, hid his breath, found a random direction, and continued to explore. Although he now has a complete map of the secret realm, it is not of much value except for the territories of those 4th level monsters. Because the secret realm is open once every 300 years, the period is too long, and the distribution of spiritual objects has long changed. Moreover, there are spiritual bamboos all around, and it is very easy to get lost. Even if the spiritual objects are marked, it is difficult to find them. It is better to rely on luck, and there may be unexpected gains. And Li Zhirui's luck has always been good. On the 3rd day, he accidentally found a 3rd-level yellow soul bamboo. If it is refined into a soul bamboo pill, it can strengthen the soul and make it more powerful. You know, any spiritual object related to the soul will automatically be half a level higher, or even 1 level higher. In other words, this soul bamboo pill is also effective for Li Zhirui. Moreover, he got a complete yellow soul bamboo, which can be brought back to the family for cultivation. As long as he buys the pill formula, some of the key members of the family who will be cultivated in the future will not have to worry about their weak souls. As for the demon beast guarding the spiritual object, it was only the 3rd level and was killed by Li Zhirui. Perhaps because the area of the secret realm is large enough, he did not meet other cultivators in the next half a month, but he collected a lot of spiritual objects. It seems to be a good harvest, but in fact, they are all 2nd and 3rd level things. It can't be said that they are very precious, just to fill the gaps in the family. While walking, Li Zhirui keenly felt a trace of unusual spiritual fluctuations, with a faint smell of medicine. This is, a high-level spiritual object is about to mature. His eyes suddenly lit up, and after determining the direction, he ran straight at the fastest speed. He was worried that he would be late and the spiritual object had been picked by someone. But in this bamboo sea, in addition to Li Zhirui, there were many creatures and monks who noticed this slight fluctuation and rushed over. After a burst of lightning, Li Zhirui reached his destination. Unfortunately, he was not the first creature to arrive, not even in the top 5. In addition to him, there was only one monk with a rare green eye, and the others were all 4th level monsters. However, the two of them did not huddle together for warmth because they were both human beings. After all, sometimes people of the same race are more dangerous than monsters. Li Zhirui withdrew his gaze and felt a little dignified, because the monsters and monks present were all strong, and he could feel a lot of threat from them. Since the spiritual medicine was not fully mature, the monsters and monks present were just wary of each other and did not take action. But as time went on, more and more creatures came, and the situation became more and more chaotic. Brother, do you know what kind of spiritual medicine this is? I don't know either. But judging from the fluctuations of the spiritual energy around it, it should be a 5th level spiritual medicine, 2 cultivators in the early stage of the nascent soul discussed in a low voice. Its name is Liu Kingshi. An old Taoist with a white beard suddenly spoke up and said, it is the moon-flowing pulp wrapped in a huge and pure wood spiritual energy, and finally bred into a spiritual seed, which grew underground for 500 years, and finally broke out of the ground and matured under the moonlight. It has not appeared in the central region for many years. If I hadn't read through ancient books in order to refine a precious pill, I wouldn't have known it. Fellow Taoist, please have some knowledge. Most of the cultivators present didn't know about this unpopular spiritual object. After his explanation, the desire in the eyes of all the creatures became even stronger. Although there were very few among them who practiced wood spiritual roots, how could they miss such a treasure? Even Li Zhirui, who had originally planned to quietly withdraw, immediately gave up the idea after hearing this. He had 2 purposes for entering the secret realm this time. One was to find an opportunity to break through the late stage of the nascent soul, and the other was to find a 5th level spiritual object for Daking, to make his bloodline go further. There was no clue about the former yet, but the opportunity for the latter was right in front of him. If he missed it, there might not be a next time. So even though there were many cultivators and monsters fighting for the spiritual object, and it was very dangerous, Li Zhirui had no intention of retreating. There are too many creatures here. Why not clear out a group of creatures with insufficient strength in advance while the spiritual medicine is not yet mature? What do you think? The cultivator who arrived first had a gleam in his eyes and said slowly, "That's right. For those who are not strong enough, it is better to withdraw in advance instead of staying to fish in troubled waters and disrupt the situation." The creatures who thought they were strong naturally agreed to this. And those who were weaker suddenly looked gloomy and wanted to speak out to object. But they were worried that they would be targeted if they were the first to speak out, and others would not stand up to help and agree. As a result, the scene fell into a strange silence. Since no one objects, it is decided. The monk who spoke first laughed and said, "Will you voluntarily withdraw? Or will we help you? But once we start, we will not take any precautions and you might get hurt." The threat in his words was evident. But when the opportunity comes, even if they are not strong enough, how many people are willing to voluntarily withdraw? Sorry, the order of the 2 chapters released yesterday was wrong. Chapter 670 Poisonous People. Alice. I tried to persuade him with kind words, but no one listened. "Don't blame me for being ruthless," the green-eyed monk sneered. "If you don't want to leave, then stay." As soon as he finished speaking, a jet-black green light shot out and pounced on a cultivator in the early stage of the nascent soul. The man didn't expect that he would start the fight as soon as he said it, and he was a beat slower to react. Although he avoided fatal injuries, his right arm was pierced and exuded a rotten stench. Obviously, the opponent's attack was highly poisonous. In just a few breaths, his face turned extremely pale. If he continued to stay here, his life would definitely be in danger. "You are the poisonous green poison of Shining Mountain." Someone in the crowd recognized the identity of the green-eyed monk, a nascent soul monk respected by thousands of people, and a deep fear appeared in his eyes. Shining Mountain is a sect in the southern region that is a god-transforming sect. Its hard power is not the best, but it is the most feared force for the southern region monks. The reason is that this sect of cultivators does not care about meat or vegetables, and is arrogant and domineering. They are obviously cultivating the immortal way, but their temperament is no different from that of demon cultivators. Except for not slaughtering mortals, they are even worse than demon cultivators in other aspects. Among the cultivators surrounding Liu Kingshi, several are from the southern region. Except for those who think they are strong, the remaining nascent souls slowly retreated. There are also other cultivators who know about Shining Mountain, but those are all written materials, and no one will completely believe them. As for the name of the poison man, it is even less well known in the central region. At most, they are more vigilant and careful. The poisonous green poison made the situation chaotic as soon as it made a move. Cultivators and cultivators, cultivators and monsters, monsters and monsters, almost all living things have their own opponents, and various spells and magical powers are overwhelming. Seeing this, Li Zhirui did not take the initiative to act, but just summoned a few huge 4th-level vines to protect him, and the mana in his body was ready to go. Green Potion, who had dealt with another opponent, turned around and saw this scene. He narrowed his eyes slightly, but finally restrained the urge to take action. Because he felt the danger from Li Zhirui. And now is far from the time to fight desperately. But there are always some blind things. Seeing that no one is fighting with Li Zhirui, and he is just a mid-stage nascent soul, a soft persimmon that can be bullied. But as soon as the two fought, he knew how wrong he was. Li Zhirui was not the soft persimmon he thought, but a ferocious beast that wanted to eat people. After he approached, dozens of 4th-order vines rose from the ground, like endless branches climbing quickly. Like a green torrent, he was quickly bound in a small vine cage, his hands were tied, and 2 vines with sharp wooden needles were aimed at his forehead and dantian. Li Zhirui didn't kill him, not because he was soft-hearted, but because he kept him as a sample to deter others, lest there be any blind things that bump into him and waste his mana and consciousness. After all, the sun and the moon are about to rotate. And he needs to ensure that he is in perfect condition to compete for the precious Liu wood fruit in front of him. And the fact that Li Zhirui defeated a Yuanying cultivator of the same realm in one encounter greatly deterred others. No one dared to provoke him, allowing him to spend the next chaotic period in peace. In fact, in addition to his own strength, a large part of the reason was that the other party underestimated the enemy too much and directly broke into the trap that had been set long ago. Li Zhirui is not the only smart person. Other powerful cultivators also use similar means to put themselves in a situation where no one dares to disturb them. But in this way, the final competition will definitely be extremely fierce and dangerous. Therefore, Many cultivators with medium strength took the initiative to withdraw from this competition and did not intend to waste time here. As for whether they really left or hid on the periphery and planned to wait for an opportunity, only they themselves know. Time passed little by little, and before the moonlight came, the first round of clearing was completed. There were originally dozens of creatures, but now only 8 are left. Among them, there are 5 cultivators and 3 monsters. But they all know that there must be many creatures hiding in the dark and spying. Those who are not of our race must have different hearts. These 3 monsters are too annoying to stay here. Fellow Taoists, why don't we join hands and drive them away first? How about it? It was still the green poison, provoking the second round of fighting. If fellow Taoists take the lead, I will definitely follow closely. The only female cultivator of the nascent soul stage present was the first to speak in agreement. The green poison swept his eyes to Li Zhirui and the other 2, and after seeing that they all nodded, he pounced on the green python monster without hesitation. What a madman, Li Zhirui thought to himself. If nothing unexpected happens, this person will be everyone's biggest competitor. His every move is a life and death method, a fighting method that hurts the enemy by 1,000 and hurts himself by 800, but he is the winner in the end. Because his hair and magic power all contain terrifying poison. Li Zhirui once quietly manipulated the vines and touched a drop of poisonous blood that fell on the ground. Within a few breaths, the vine completely withered. With the temporary and short-term concerted efforts of the 5 monks, the 3 monsters all fled with injuries. Beside Liu Mushi, there were only 5 of them. They were vigilant and monitored each other, but they were strangely calm. Even Luzhan did not provoke them again. The Taiyuan moonwheel slowly rose into the sky. When it reached the middle of the sky, a bright and flawless moonlight fell, illuminating the mushy spirit tree. In an instant, a powerful force of swallowing erupted, swallowing up the spiritual energy within a radius of several miles, and then the spiritual fruit exuded a soft moonlight and a magnificent vitality that made people indulge in depravity. They just took a few breaths of the breath of Liu Mushi when it was mature, and they felt 100 times more energetic and their bodies were much more relaxed. If they took it completely, wouldn't the toxins, impurities, and various hidden injuries deposited in their bodies over the years be completely healed? Thinking of this, everyone looked at Liu Mushi with eyes flashing with possessiveness. However, no one dared to be the first bird to be targeted by everyone, so they did not move. But the next scene made Li Zhirui and others furious. A black shadow suddenly jumped out from the ground 10 feet outside the slowly withering spiritual tree, reaching out to grab Mushi. How dare you? The 5 people acted almost at the same time to prevent the spiritual fruit from being taken by the monk who escaped underground. Catcha, but unexpectedly, the monk who was hit by the magic spell was actually an illusion. And Liu Mushi had been taken by his original body, escaped into the ground, and disappeared. Li Zhirui's face was very ugly. He turned out to be a monk who was proficient in earth escape. Escape into the earth, like a bird returning to the mountains and forests, a fish entering the sea, and he only knew about earth escape. Chapter 671, Fight. To put it simply, Li Zhirui had no way to deal with the other party. Fortunately, there were talented people. 3 Yuanying monks came out from the dark, took away many mixed breaths from the withered spiritual plant, and then cast a tracking spell. There were far more monks hiding in the dark than the 3 of them, and the rest did not show up. If it weren't for the loud noise of casting the spell, they would not want to be exposed. Wouldn't it be better to track alone and reduce competition? Before and after the Liu wood fruit matured, there were only Li Zhirui and a few others, so the breath was not too complicated. With a little identification, the monk who stole the spiritual fruit was locked. Led the way, Green Heron flashed and appeared next to a monk, saying in a gloomy voice. The monk had seen Green Heron's strength with his own eyes, so how dare he resist? He could only lead the way obediently. The remaining 2 monks did not escape the fate of leading the way, and the pressure they faced was even greater. They were Li Zhirui and many other monks. When setting out to catch up, Li Zhirui deliberately slowed down a step and put the spiritual plant that looked withered, along with all the roots underground, into the space. Zhaoqing, who had received the order early in the morning, had already dug the pit, and had prepared a gourd of nourishing spiritual water and a large number of spiritual stones. Li Zhirui did this to try to save the spiritual plant. He was not whimsical, but he had an idea that came to his mind temporarily after he realized that there was still a vitality hidden in it. If it succeeds, even if he doesn't get this Liu wood fruit, He can get a spiritual fruit in the future, and Daking's blood problem will be solved. Even if he fails, it doesn't matter, it's just a waste of spiritual stones and time. After dealing with this matter, Li Zhirui hurriedly caught up with everyone. After all, whether the spiritual plan can survive is still an unknown. If there is a chance, it is better to get the current Liu wood fruit first. Bang! A figure suddenly emerged from the ground in a corner dozens of miles away. Ha 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 ha! No matter how strong you are, Liu Mushi finally fell into my hands. The monk laughed in a low voice, his face full of pride. He was indeed proud of being able to get the spiritual fruit and escape safely in front of 5 powerful people and many Yuanying lurking in the dark. But he was so proud that he not only lost his vigilance, but also brought him a huge disaster. Moreover, he could have escaped further, but he thought that the distance of dozens of miles was safe, and there was no need to consume huge mana and continue to use the earth escape technique. So his joy and excitement only lasted for a quarter of an hour before it came to an abrupt end. Green Heron caught up with the monk. And in order to prevent him from escaping underground again, Green Heron made a move and a cloud of poisonous fog enveloped him. Impossible. How could you catch up so quickly? Feeling the rapid decrease of mana in his body and his mind gradually becoming chaotic, the monk shouted hysterically. Death was approaching, and he regained his sanity. He begged, I will hand over the Liu Mushi, and please spare my life. Even if you die, the Mushi will still be mine, but I can destroy it before I die. As he said that, he took out a jade box that sealed the Mushi, and looked at Luzhen with a crazy look. Are you threatening me? Luzhen's originally cold expression suddenly became playful. Do you know that what I hate most in my life is that others threaten me? For this kind of people, I usually refine them into poison slaves. Do you know what a poison slave is? It is to use their bodies to help me extract the purest toxins, and I have collected tens of thousands of poisons. I wonder how many of them you can persist in. Since you don't give me a way out, then no one can want this Mushi. He would rather commit suicide than be a poison slave. Just as he was about to destroy Liu Mushi, a spiritual light descended from the sky and turned into a white silk, pulling the jade box out of his hand and hiding him in the chest, sending him flying backwards. The cultivators who arrived a little later than Luzhen arrived. And the words he said before were also to distract the other party and prevent Mushi from being really destroyed. Now the spiritual object is temporarily safe, but it also means that the fierce struggle has just begun. And because it was accidentally snatched away, those cultivators who were driven out of the competition in advance are now involved again, which has also caused the number of competitors to increase several times. In order to take down Mushi, in addition to having extraordinary strength, luck is also indispensable. However, this also has a huge advantage, that is, Mushi is sealed, and there is no need to worry about being exposed in the air, causing the medicinal effect to disappear. Hand over the spiritual fruit. Now the jade box is in the hands of the female cultivator, and naturally, it has become the target of all cultivators. Li Zhirui did not use all his strength, but just entangled with her and did not give her a chance to escape. This not only preserved his strength, but also prepared for the next battle. Time passed relentlessly, from the moonlit night to the early morning, and there was still no final winner. However, there were not many cultivators who were still able to compete for Mushi. A night of fighting eliminated most of the cultivators, some of whom died, some were seriously injured and escaped, and finally only Li Zhirui, Lu Zhen, and the other 4 nascent souls were left. My fellow Taoist, how about you and I join forces to get Mushi first, and then discuss how to distribute it? Lu Zhen looked at Li Zhirui. Then will you take Mushi? Or will I take it? Li Zhirui smiled and refused. Facing such a spiritual object, even his own brothers and sisters might not be trustworthy, let alone 2 unfamiliar cultivators? Especially Lu Zhen, the threat level was too great, and joining forces with him was tantamount to seeking the skin of a tiger. Then let's do it on our own. Before he finished speaking, Lu Zhe flew towards the jade box that fell next to her corpse. At the same time, a green poisonous mist gushed out, completely covering the surroundings, which not only protected him, but also, to a certain extent, blocked the other 5 people. Grow. Li Zhirui performed countless spells, and it took shape in an instant. Countless vines soared into the sky, and then gathered in mid-air to form a wooden cage, which was inverted on the ground, and the area within a radius of 3 miles was completely covered. In the poisonous mist, there were also small vines growing out. Most of them were corroded and withered by the poisonous mist as soon as they grew out, But under the huge number, some of them still survived and tried their best to prevent Li Zhirui from getting the wood. The remaining few nascent soul cultivators naturally couldn't stand by and watch, otherwise the ownership of the spiritual fruit would be decided. I don't know if it was because Li Zhirui and Li Zhirui put too much pressure on them. The four of them actually joined hands and planned to get rid of the two first. Chapter 672, Crazy. Facing the attack of the Yuanying monk, Li Zhirui naturally did not dare to resist it head-on. Fortunately, the favorable venue for him had been successfully arranged, and he could hide in the vines at will. Li Zhirui was forced to hide, and Lu Zhen failed to get the jade box smoothly. There was actually one of the four who practiced poison techniques. Although his achievements in this area were not as good as Lu Zhen, it was not a problem for him to withstand his poison mist in a short period of time. So Lu Zhen was interrupted by his sudden attack and had to stop. Dao, if you and I don't join forces, I'm afraid we will have no chance to fight Liu Mushi. Although Lu Zhen had strong confidence in his own strength, he didn't dare to say that he could fight 4 Yuanying monks of the same realm alone. Li Zhirui, who was hiding in a vine, was not moved at all after hearing this. He even watched his vines being destroyed and damaged by them, and he didn't move. He planned to learn from the Earth Escape monk and use the vines to get near the jade box. But unlike that person, as long as Li Zhirui can get it, the others will have no chance at all. If the situation before was not too chaotic, with all kinds of magical powers and spells flying around, and there was no relatively stable environment, he would not have waited until now to take action. Ho ha, it seems that the man has escaped, one of them laughed. He was really worried that Li Zhirui and Lu Yu would join forces, which would be a huge threat to them. Lu Yu frowned. He felt in his heart that Li Zhirui had not left, but looking at the vine debris all over the ground, he had to accept this fact. There are 4 of you, but there is only one Mushi. I wonder how you plan to divide it? Is it divided into 4? Or is it for one of you to take it all? But Lu Yu couldn't give up just like that. Because he needs this spiritual fruit that can heal hidden injuries and stubborn diseases in his body, otherwise his path will stop here. Poison cultivation has a lethality that makes all cultivators fear, but in the process of cultivation, it is necessary to take various highly toxic things and integrate them into their own magic power. At the same time, this special mana will also cause certain harm to oneself. Over time, you can imagine how serious the injury will be. Many poison cultivators did not die at the hands of others, but died suddenly during cultivation. Like Green Heron, poison cultivators who can cultivate to the nascent soul stage can be said to be rare and a child of destiny. This is also the reason why few cultivators are willing to practice related methods, even though the lethality of poison cultivators is not worse than that of sword cultivators, and even stronger in some aspects. Even in the magic way, there are few. Demon cultivators are cruel, but that is what they do to others, while poison cultivators do it to themselves. Unfortunately, Green Heron's provocation did not work. The 4 people are still in a joint state and are determined to drive him away. Then let me experience your strength. Green Heron intends to fight to the death. If he can't get Liu Mushi, his tattered body will not last for a few years. Thank you all for your help. At this moment, Li Zhirui suddenly appeared, seemingly unhurried, and expressed his gratitude to everyone, but in less than half a breath, he disappeared with the jade box. If they destroyed the vine prison, the vines would be scattered everywhere, and many broken branches and vines would fall near the jade box. With a medium to display his magical powers, Li Zhirui would naturally not delay any longer. He immediately seized the opportunity, took the jade box, and then escaped into the space. This scene made the remaining 5 people stunned in place, and then they burst out their spiritual consciousness at the same time, exploring in all directions. Unfortunately, all these were in vain. Where is my Liu Mushi? Where did it go? Don't let me catch you. I will definitely cut you into pieces and cut you into pieces. Without the life-saving spiritual object, Li Zhirui completely lost his mind, and the other 4 people were not interested in fighting with a madman, so they immediately scattered and left. That green poison is like a madman now. Not only does he kill monks everywhere, he also uses a very terrible poison on this bamboo sea. I heard that a bamboo forest with a radius of hundreds of miles has now become a dead place. I heard that he seems to be looking for a monk who took away his opportunity. It's not as simple as an opportunity. The Liu wood is a life-saving treasure for him. No matter how powerful the poison cultivator is, it will die young. The monk sneered and said, What he has done now has definitely aroused public anger, especially the local monks in the central region. They will never let it go. What the green poison did is destroying the foundation of the secret realm. You know, because of its special nature, the Bamboo Sea secret realm grows many unique bamboo spirits. For example, the yellow soul bamboo that Li Zhirui once got is one of the good spirits, and its origin is here. And these spirits are mutated from thousands of ordinary spirit bamboos, and every time the secret realm is opened, you may find new spirits. Green Heron's destruction of the spiritual bamboo is not just digging for the foundation of the secret realm. How can the monks in the central region tolerate it? If nothing unexpected happens, Green Heron should be being hunted down or hiding somewhere, so he should not have time to trouble him. Li Zhirui, who was standing aside, listened silently, smiled bitterly in his heart, and prayed silently. Since he got the Liuhu wood fruit, he hid in the space for more than half a month before coming out. After all, Green Heron's crazy appearance was really frightening. He didn't want to provoke such a difficult guy, so he naturally hid as much as he could. Li Zhirui stayed in the space for so long, not only to avoid the limelight, but also because he was poisoned. At that time, Green Heron took the initiative to attack, and there was a lot of poisonous fog near the jade box. At that time, he was eager to grab the treasure and didn't have time to apply too much defense, and then he was poisoned. In order to detoxify, during that period of time, the 3rd level and 4th level detoxification pills were eaten as candy, and he was severely tortured. But even so, Li Zhirui still spent half a month to detoxify, which shows how terrible the poison of Green Heron is. For this reason, he even changed his appearance on purpose before continuing to look for spiritual objects in the Bamboo Sea. Unfortunately, perhaps because his luck was too prosperous in the early stage, he got several rare treasures, and his luck dropped a lot, so that in the next month or so, he did not find any precious spiritual objects. In desperation, he rushed to the territory of those 4th level spiritual plant monsters in advance. Although the activity of giving away spiritual objects has not started yet, there are already many cultivators gathered nearby, and the words just now were what Li Zhirui heard from 2 of them. It was also at this time that he realized how important Liu Mu she was to Green Heron. But for Da Qing, isn't it the same? Although the spiritual plant has shown signs of recovery, before it grows up, it is the only wood fruit, and it is also the only hope for Da Qing to evolve. Li Zhirui can't just abandon Da Qing for a strange cultivator, right? Chapter 673 Entering the Mountain. Good news. Good news. That poisonous man has finally been eliminated. Fellow Taoists can rest assured, a few days later, when the gift of treasures was about to begin, a group of cultivators came together and brought the news that Green Heron had been killed. Good. A villain like him was only killed, which was really a bargain for him, that's right. He was so cruel to destroy the secret realm. This is a treasure land that has been nurtured for many years. He deserves to be killed. Well done, everyone applauded. Who asked Green Heron's existence not only to threaten their lives and property, but also to destroy the secret realm, which was a matter of anger and resentment. Li Zhirui, who was standing aside, shook his head secretly in his heart. He actually felt sorry for Green Heron, but that was all. 3 days later, there were only 5 days left before the secret realm was closed. It was also on this day that the sacred mountains occupied by the 4th level spiritual plant monsters dispersed the clouds and mist that usually covered them all day, revealing a blessed land full of spiritual energy and beautiful scenery. The 6 sacred mountains are independent of each other, but only a few miles apart. From a distance, it looks like a mountain range that stretches for hundreds of miles. As the clouds and mist dissipated, a pure and majestic spiritual energy came out. This spiritual energy is comparable to the spiritual cave of the 5th level spiritual vein, a cultivator couldn't help but exclaimed. If I can practice in such an environment, my chance of breaking through the god transformation can be increased by half. Then why don't you stay and keep company with those demons? The cultivators around him couldn't help but joked. Ho ha, it's just a joke, don't take it seriously. Looking at the sacred mountains, Li Zhirui's eyes flashed, and he was secretly alert. Being able to occupy the best 6 sacred mountains in the secret realm, its strength is definitely the best among other demon beasts. In addition, the lifespan of the plant-type demons is extremely long. After so many years of accumulation, if it weren't for the restrictions of the secret realm rules, they would have been able to impact the 5th level god transformation realm long ago. Even though Li Zhirui had received a lot of information, and the cultivators who had obtained the spiritual objects the first 2 times did not find any problems, he still felt that things would not be so simple. What they did must have an ulterior motive. It is impossible that they are kind by nature and want to give treasures to humans, right? Brothers, I am of ordinary origin. Can you give me a detailed introduction to these 6 sacred mountains? A Yuanying suddenly bowed his head and said. The spiritual objects obtained from the 6 sacred mountains are different. The first and second mountains are respectively Shenshin and Zhishin, which are mostly spiritual objects that increase mana. The third mountain is Yunshin, which will give spiritual objects for healing. The fourth mountain is Gishin, where spiritual objects are treasures for healing the soul. The fifth and sixth mountains are Huishin and Kaoshin, where there are many kinds of spiritual objects. It depends on one's luck. Some can get 5th level spiritual objects, while others can only get the most common gold-edged flowers. The Yuanying continued, 1, 2, and 4. These 3 sacred mountains have always been the places with the largest number of people and the most intense competition in previous years. Daoists with insufficient strength should go to the remaining 3 sacred mountains. After all, everyone can only choose to enter one sacred mountain. Even if you get nothing, there will be no second chance. Thank you for clearing up my doubts, brother. Several people spoke up to express their gratitude. Li Zhirui knew about this information before, but he had never made up his mind where to go. But now, he has the answer. It's time to enter the mountain. After the clouds and mist completely dissipated, all the cultivators set off and rushed to their respective spiritual mountains. Despite the reminder from the Yuanying before, the number of cultivators going to Shenshin and Zhishin was still the largest. Increased mana. After taking a spiritual object, one can increase mana by several years, which is equivalent to a few more years to polish the soul. How can people not be tempted by this? Li Zhirui did not join in the fun. He could refine various 4th-level treasure pills, and his cultivation speed was already fast enough. Moreover, he did not believe that these big monsters would be so kind. He would not even have time to dodge such a spiritual object, so how could he take the initiative to approach it? So he chose the last spiritual mountain, which is Kaoshin. At the same time, deep underground in the 6 spiritual mountains, in a huge underground palace, 6 human-shaped phantoms gathered here. I don't know if we can escape from this cage this time. If we don't leave, we will have to wait another 300 years. By then, the lifespan of eldest brother and second sister will not be long. No matter what, we must act this time, but if we fail, the monks will definitely be prepared next time, and it will be much more difficult to escape, so we must ensure success this time. The 2 phantoms who seem to be beginning to show their old age, namely the eldest brother, the ginseng demon, and the second sister, the Zhi demon, had remained silent. We 6 brothers and sisters have witnessed the opening of the secret realm 4 times, which is 1,200 years. From the beginning when we were ignorant and fled everywhere to survive, we have now grown to the limit of the secret realm. The ginseng demon slowly spoke, saying, all the previous plans were to leave this cage and enter the real world. Now, it is indeed an opportunity, and my second sister and I can no longer wait, but you are different. You still have a long lifespan, brother. After you and my second sister take action, the human race will be extremely vigilant. If we continue to stay, we will only wait for death to come. Before the ginseng demon finished speaking, he was interrupted by someone, saying, so this is the only and last chance for all of us, Alice. The ginseng demon sighed heavily and said, I have implicated you, brother. What are you talking about? If it weren't for you, where would we be? That's right, if it weren't for you and my second sister, we would have fallen long ago. The other demon spoke up and agreed. When they were born with intelligence, if they hadn't been protected by the ginseng demon and the Zhi demon, how could they have grown to their current level? And because of protecting them, the 2 demons with long lifespans have only lived for less than 2,000 years and have already shown signs of old age. After all, when they were young, their strength was mediocre. If they wanted to survive, they could only fight for their lives. In that case, then be prepared to leave the secret realm. Yes, the other 5 demons responded in unison. Is this grass mountain? Looking at the various low-level spiritual herbs all over the mountain, Li Zhirui's face showed a touch of satisfaction. As a cultivator of water and wood spiritual roots, he likes this kind of place full of vitality the most. Moreover, there are many of these low-level spiritual herbs that the Li family does not have. Li Zhirui carefully pulled them up by the roots, but for the sake of caution, He only put them into the spiritual plant jade card, instead of planting them directly in the space as usual. But what about the so-called test? Li Zhirui dealt with several kinds of spiritual herbs in succession, and suddenly remembered that there was such a thing, so he stood up and looked around. Chapter 674 Leaving. But after looking around, he did not find any traces of the test. Li Zhirui could even see the monks who entered Kaohsian with him not far away. Compared with other spiritual mountains, there were not many monks on Kaohsian, only a dozen people. But unlike Li Zhirui, they collected the spiritual herbs very roughly, and it could even be said that they collected them destructively. They did not care about the spiritual herbs around them at all, and would not let go of any spiritual herbs that were slightly valuable. In response, Li Zhirui just shook his head and retracted his gaze. But soon, a cry from not far away attracted the attention of all the monks. 5th level resurrection grass. As soon as the man spoke, he regretted it. While the other monks had not arrived yet, he immediately rushed towards the herb emitting a faint blue spiritual light. This kind of treasure belongs to those with virtue. Everyone tried to stop him and did not give him the opportunity to get close to the resurrection grass. This is a real life-saving treasure. As long as the physical body exists and remains generally intact, taking the resurrection grass within a quarter of an hour of falling can bring him back to life. This is almost like having one more life. No one will give up such a treasure. Is it the so-called test to let everyone kill each other? Li Zhirui also rushed over, but stopped at the edge of the battlefield and did not go too deep. Seeing everyone fighting for a resurrection grass, he became more vigilant to those big monsters and more convinced that they had bad intentions. However, in front of the resurrection grass, other thoughts and ideas can be temporarily abandoned. So Li Zhirui decisively participated in the battle. In the chaos, he seized the right opportunity and took the resurrection grass in his hand. Crack! Before he could be happy, he heard a sound of a mirror breaking. The scene in front of him faded rapidly, and finally turned into a spiritual mountain with rich spiritual energy but bare. What a profound and terrifying illusion array! Li Zhirui reacted at this time. It turned out that what happened before was just an environment constructed by an illusion array, but this made him sweat coldly. If the illusion array had not closed automatically, he didn't know how long it would take to get out. You passed the trial perfectly, and the reward is a 4th order spiritual herb with the same level as for the 5th order spiritual herb. The owner behind the scenes is not unable to take it out, but unwilling to do so. He himself is short of it. A flash of light passed by, and Li Zhirui quickly grabbed it. He also recognized this spiritual herb, which is called Zuanaya water grass. It has the function of slowly changing the water area, and can slowly turn an ordinary spiritual lake into Zuanaya ghost water. This is a long process. It will take dozens or hundreds of years. It is impossible to turn a spiritual lake of 1 mile square into Zuanaya ghost water. In addition, it can also be used to make pills, which has a miraculous effect on spiritual fire burns. It can also be used by ice spiritual root monks as a spiritual pill to increase mana. The cultivator of this spiritual herb is very useless and does not play a big role for Li Zhirui, but it is at least a 4th order spiritual medicine. After getting the spiritual medicine, he can no longer stay on the mountain and must leave. He didn't want to cause trouble. So he walked down the mountain very simply. Many of the nascent soul cultivators who came to participate in the gift of treasures have already gone down the mountain. Some of them were smiling and looked like they had received some good spiritual objects, while others looked gloomy. Obviously they did not get any spiritual objects. The appearance of Li Zhirui attracted the attention of many cultivators, one of whom was full of aggressive eyes, as if he wanted to attack him. He pretended not to notice the other party, and then saw who'd win. It's time to go to the secret door and prepare to leave. However, since the location of the door is still unknown, Li Zhirui can only continue to wander in the bamboo sea, looking for opportunities. Don't hide, come out. After leaving the 6 spiritual mountains for more than 100 miles, Li Zhirui pointed out the whereabouts of the cultivator following him. Hand over the spiritual objects, and I can spare your life. It was the cultivator who wanted to attack him from the beginning. Li Zhirui shook his head and said disdainfully, "Just you? I'm afraid you are not qualified." In order to quickly resolve the battle, he directly called Zhao King out, and the two of them joined forces to deal with the cultivator in front of them, who had changed their faces. After seeing Zhao King appear, he knew that his chances of winning this battle were very low, and he might even lose here, so he turned around and ran away. Want to escape now? It's too late. Since he decided to take action, Li Zhirui would not give up. In terms of speed, he was no match for Zhao King at all. After a chase, he greatly consumed the man's mana. The end of it is self-evident. In the remaining few days in the secret realm, Li Zhirui did not find any spiritual objects. As for the monk's storage ring, there were a few good spiritual objects, which comforted his injured heart. On this day, the portal of the secret realm, which had been silent in the sea of consciousness, suddenly lit up. This means that everyone should leave the secret realm as soon as possible, otherwise they should stay. Finally, I can go out. Li Zhirui found that he was not far from the portal. Following the guidance, it only took a few hours to find the target, and then he took a step and returned to the original wider world. He did not stay where he was. He immediately sacrificed the spirit ship and flew towards the fairy city where Li Chengsheng and the other two were. When Li Zhirui was on his way, in the underground palaces of the 6 spiritual mountains. Brother, the secret realm portal has been opened, we should act now. The 6 big monsters gathered here again. What is the situation outside? The master of Yunshan immediately used the secret method to see the situation outside the gate through the branch taken out by the monks. There are only dozens of spiritual ships. Compared with the previous times, the number of monks is much less. The reason for this is that the changes in the 10,000 immortals secret realm caused many Yuanying monks to return to the mountain gate with their disciples in advance. Good. This is great news for us, brother. Whether we can get freedom depends on this time. The monsters were immersed in the joy of leaving the prison, and did not notice the strange expression on their big brother's face. Half a quarter of an hour after Li Zhirui left the secret realm, the 6 monsters passed through the portal and walked out of the secret realm. Some of the cultivators who had not left discovered them at the first time. A 4th level monster escaped. I didn't expect to have an unexpected gain after leaving the secret realm. There were at least 30 nascent soul cultivators nearby. With the strength of the 6 monsters, there was no way to fight them. Quick! Catch them! They are the 6 spiritual plant monsters in the secret realm. Even more unfortunately, their identities were discovered. Those nascent souls who were originally unmoved stood up immediately after hearing this. A 4th level spiritual plant monster. This is a top quality spiritual medicine and tonic. If it can be imprisoned, there will be no shortage of spiritual medicine in the future. Chapter 675, Shocking Change. The ginseng demon and the others had already prepared for the situation, and immediately used their magical powers to escape from this place. No. Don't let them escape, a monk exclaimed loudly and hurriedly tried to stop them. But the ginseng demon and the Zhi demon disappeared in an instant like water. The mist and cloud demon turned into a wisp of white mist and merged into the vast sea of clouds. The remaining 3 big demons, the laurel and peach blossom petals, fell in the sky, flying all over the sky, and scattered with the wind. The grass demon flashed with green light and merged into the green grass as numerous as stars. As for how to gather at that time, they also have a way. Everyone has a ginseng seed of the ginseng demon in their hands, which will guide everyone. Chase, although they can no longer see their traces, no one is willing to give up. The monks who have the secret method of tracking have taken action and called their friends to chase after them. The rest of the people followed shamelessly. With a treasure in front of them, it is not the time to talk about face. Why are there so many cultivators flying towards me? Li Zhirui, who was sitting on the deck and driving the spiritual ship, suddenly noticed a movement in the distance. He immediately stood up and looked, and became a little alert. My fellow Taoist, have you seen any traces of the 4th level monster? One of the cultivators stood up and asked. Li Zhirui's heart moved when he heard this, and said, what are you chasing? Why don't you tell me and see if I can help? No, I think you have something important to do. You should go and deal with it as soon as possible. Obviously, they don't want anyone to get a bigger share. Li Zhirui didn't get entangled and left immediately. That's not right. My search disc clearly shows that the monster is nearby. Why can't I find it after I get there? The cultivator standing at the front of the crowd frowned and said to himself. Someone speculated, could it be that the man got there first and captured the monster? Look! The magic disc moved. It pointed to the direction the man left. Hurry up and chase him. Don't let him escape. On the spirit ship, Li Zhirui was thinking about the target of the group of cultivators. Suddenly, he felt a sense of crisis. He looked back with his spiritual sense and saw that the group of cultivators were coming aggressively. Don't they think that the monster was captured by me? Seeing their excited look, they probably wouldn't listen to his explanation. Thinking of this, Li Zhirui put away the spirit ship without hesitation and escaped into space. There were more than a dozen Yuanying cultivators. No matter how confident he was in his own strength, he didn't dare to say that he could escape safely from them. Rather than ending up in an embarrassing situation, it is better to avoid them directly. Where is he? How did he disappear out of thin air? This scene surprised everyone. They released their spiritual senses and explored the surroundings, trying to find Li Zhirui's trace. Can your search disk find the whereabouts of that monk? But there was no need to wait for the monk to come back. Everyone saw that the pointer was spinning around and could not determine the direction at all. Seeing this scene, everyone had no choice but to give up. It's really unlucky. I didn't expect to be intercepted by a monk halfway. If I meet him again in the future, I will make him spit out the things. I wasted an original spiritual seed, but fortunately I finally got rid of these monks. It's time to meet up with my brother. When the monks were angry, a grass below Li Zhirui's original position suddenly flashed a trace of imperceptible green light, and then withered silently. In a hidden cave, 6 big monsters who had gone through untold hardships and were injured to varying degrees appeared here. There was no sadness on their faces, but excitement and excitement. Because they finally escaped from the cage, gained freedom, and continued the path that was originally cut off. But their happiness only lasted for a short time before turning into panic. Because they suddenly found that they could not control their bodies. Why can't I move? Me too. Now I can't even control the mana in my body. 4 voices rang out in succession, and at this time, the pale-faced ginseng demon stood up and laughed. Finally. Success, brother, what are you doing? At this time, they had already sensed something wrong in a dangerous aura, and they used their mana to try to break free. Don't struggle, I have already planted ginseng whiskers in your body. Soon, you will be completely integrated with me. In this way, the 6 of us brothers and sisters can always be together. At the end, the ginseng demon's expression became very twisted and terrifying. Brother, why are you doing this? The youngest peach blossom demon, who is well protected by the other demons, asked in disbelief with tears in her eyes. Except for the Zhi demon, the remaining 3 big demons all had expressions of astonishment and grief. The demons desperately escaped the capture and pursuit of the human race, but their lives were controlled by the big brother they had always respected the most. And they will be devoured by it. Why? Shen Yao said as a matter of course it's for immortality, for transcending the tribulation and ascending to heaven. As long as I devour all 5 of you, I can break through to the middle stage of the 5th level, or even the late stage of the 5th level in a very short time, and I can also complete my origin and prolong my life. The plant-type demon race has a huge advantage, that is, they do not have the so-called bloodline, and after they are born with spiritual intelligence, their rank will be improved with a breakthrough of their cultivation. And this is also to make up for the defect that plant-type creatures are difficult to give birth to spiritual intelligence. Brother, have you been planning this for many years? The big demon whose body is the laurel spirit plant suddenly asked as if he had thought of something. You are the smartest, my 4th brother, the demon sighed and said with a smile, that's right. I was planning this before you had any spiritual intelligence. In other words, the reason why we were able to have spiritual intelligence was actually because you did it on purpose. Yes, when I broke through the 3rd level, the secret realm was opened for the first time. I learned about the situation of the secret realm from a dying monk. At that time, I knew clearly that even if I broke through the 4th level, I would not be able to escape, so I cultivated many spiritual seeds, but in the end, only you were able to have spiritual intelligence. Originally, it planned to use them as cannon fodder to attract firepower for it and to fight for the opportunity to escape. But later it further improved its idea and became what it is now. We have been together for more than 1,000 years. Such a long time, and we have lived and died together many times during this period. Don't you have any feelings for us? The laurel demon asked sadly. You want to break through the 5th level, want to transcend the calamity and ascend to heaven. Won't the 5 of us help you? Why do you do this? How could there be no feelings? But in the face of such huge interests, what does this friendship count for? What's more, it has had other thoughts about them since the beginning, which reminds it all the time not to be serious. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.